Before I start the show, I've put the draw for the PJ Gustafson Death Label Snowboard with union bindings on hold until the postal strike is over. Just a heads up, we'll be doing the fundraiser in the new year. Season 10 is presented by Flojoy Water, Chris Roach's family business. Refresh your style with Flojoy Artesian Mountain Water, pure water, pure Stoked, and essential toothpaste tabs. Earth-friendly, adventure-ready toothpaste. Clean ingredients, supported by science. Wired Snowboards Factory in Vancouver builds high-quality custom snowboards for about the same price as other brands' regular boards. I've created several one-of-a-kind wired customs, including a Chase 162 that's seen hundreds of my best powder days. Get yourself a game-changing snowboard and join the Wired team with Devin Walsh, Sasha Daly, and many others. Wired Snowboards. For more information, go to wiredsnowboards.com. Fixed bindings are my go-to for all my snowboards because they're comfortable, durable, and look rad. Fix makes bindings I want to ride. Simple, lightweight, and dependable, made from the best materials, using the most environmentally friendly production processes possible. They offer lifetime warranty on bases and buckles. If you're looking for affordable performance bindings in the perfect color to match your fit, go to fixbindingco.com or grab them at your local retailer. Bluebird Coffee Tuning and Rentals in Squamish is the coolest new stop on your way to Whistler. Bluebird offers quality board tunes using state-of-the-art equipment, premium rentals for every level of rider with demos of Burton step-ons, and award-winning coffee and incredible smoothies. For a blend of expert knowledge, convenience, and lots of charm, stop by Bluebird in Squamish and get your board tuned at the newest mandatory stop on your way to Whistler. Pro Standard makes the grill mount the best mount for your Insta360 GoPro or DJI camera. It's a heat moldable mouth mount, tripod, hand grip, hook mount, bottle mount, wall mount, clamp mount, glove mount, and shoe mount, designed by snowboard legend Ken Ochenbach to get you the perfect angle for snowboarding, surfing, biking, and it'll replace 90% of your other mounts. Use code FNRad to get 20 off your first order at prostandard.com. Support also comes from our friends at the Boardroom Snowboard Shop. Check out boardroomshop.com and use code FNRAD10 for 10% off regular priced items and FNRAD5 for 5% off sale items. 1910, the collaborative artworks of Jamie Lynn and Scof. FNRAD20 saves you 20% off at 1910.com. New Greens, the superfood green drink sourced from American farms. Use code FNRAD for 20% off at newgreens.com. I want to thank DeKind Snowboard outerwear, travel bags, and backpacks, Rip Curl's Anti-Series outerwear, and our friends at Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, and Cypress Mountain for their support. Justin Lamaru has lived his entire adult life in the snowboarding community. From ripping and riding contests with the Alberta boys in the 90s, through competing at 2 Olympics in halfpipe and getting 7th in the 2010 Olympic finals in Vancouver, Justin now rides Dreamlines in the Whistler backcountry and is also a certified ACMG guide. He's also the engineer behind Spline Snowboards, which are hand-built in Squamish. Here's my interview with Justin Lamoureux, who's originally from New Jersey.
Nobody really knew that until I wrote it down one time on a contest hometown thing just as a joke, and everyone just
Sick.
tripped up like, yeah, you're from Jersey? What? Is this a joke? I'm like, no, it's not a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of legends from there. Tom was from there. Supposedly Tom Sims invented the snowboard in New Jersey, in Haddonfield, New Jersey, when he was in grade 7 or something.
Crazy. Did you post that up, or somebody posted up like he used to ride at this golf course?
It wasn't me. Probably was
the other
Trent
day.
Bush. Yeah.
Like somebody put up like a plaque that's at some random golf course that where he first started shredding on whatever hole it was.
I think Trent Bush has done due diligence and found out that story is true. So I at first said to Trent, I don't think it's true but the board, I've looked at the board that was supposedly from that time.
Yeah.
and it had those telltale, like, you know, the screwdriver scrapes on the bottom of a skateboard that someone's like, I skateboard, but they scraped it with a screwdriver. It had that, and it didn't have any wear where it would have wear from going down. You know, like, you're going to be hitting dirt, you're going to be hitting rocks, you're going to be hitting grass or whatever. It had no wear. It just had those, like, I was like, this is fake. And Trent was like, I have it on good authority. It's not fake. And so then listening to the Tom Sims Pure Juice documentary intro, he says, he looks at that exact board. He goes, you know, this is the first board I ever made. And he looks at it, he goes, didn't work very well. And I'm like, okay, maybe it went up against the garage and then it turns out, I forget who said it. Maybe Dave the Weave Weaver. One of the early guys said, look, he had a board. It got lost, obviously. But to prove it, he went back to the Sims shop. He made a board, scraped up the bottom with a screwdriver to make it look like it had been used, and submitted it as evidence that he had this board in 1965, which predates the 77 Burton stuff. It even predates Sherman Poppin making the Snurfer, because he was 69.
Oh, really?
68 or 69. Oh. So this
is all before I was born. So
it's before I was born too. But I think it's pretty obvious that he did ride a skateboard on the snow when he was a kid. Yeah. There's a bunch of people that have some from that era that say, oh yeah, he was my neighbor and we went to this golf course.
I really like the sketchy yellow one that they made.
Yeah. The Lonnie Toft.
Yeah. We haven't rode Patterson's version of that one yet, but I'd like to at some point. Yeah,
a guy, Ernie DeLost from the Barfoot stuff and from Snowtech, he made his own version of that as well. That was redesigned so that the edge would actually hook, so you could turn the things, but they would fold, so then they would put stuff on top of them. They've really struggled. And actually, Ernie's from the East Coast as well. He might even be from New Jersey. I think he's New York. But so, anyways, you're in with this handful of people from this rare spot. There's surf there, though, right?
Yeah, I grew up like 20 minutes from the beach, kind of thing. Just by the Jersey Shore, like the show got made famous. Yeah. But yeah, that was exactly the zone that I grew up in. And the first thing I ever did, my dad launched me into the water essentially a week after I was born, and took me it was like Labor Day, whatever. My whole family was there, and they just went down to the beach, and my dad dragged me in there and just like, dragged a kid around in the water. Sick. Sort of thing. So it's always been my home / favorite place to be used in the ocean sort of thing. But being French Canadian, we eventually left and moved back to Canada, and I was not stoked at the time.
What was your dad's job that he was moving around?
My dad was, I guess technically he's an actuary.
I don't know.
You're shaking your head. Not that many people do. So they work for life insurance companies, and they essentially calculate the probability of somebody dying.
Got it.
Like just probabilistic math.
Yeah.
So he's
smart guy.
He's essentially a mathematical genius.
Logical guy.
Yes, very logical.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times he may have told me that I'm probably going to die a young death. From what I do.
Statistically not wrong. Yeah. Right? I don't think there's any sport that has as much loss as snowboarding.
No, I mean like mountaineering and base jumping, and there's a lot of things that are a lot higher, but
I don't know. Are they though?
Oh, base jumping's got a really bad probability of dying.
Okay. Yeah. I'll trust you on
mountaineering
that.
too is up there.
Yeah.
Like full on alpine climbing is definitely up there.
Right.
But anyway, he's worked for a company called MetLife, and they basically moved him back and forth from Ottawa. He started in Ottawa to New Jersey, back to Ottawa, or I guess he was living in New York, or working in New York, but the only place he could afford a house was 45 minutes away in the suburbs of New Jersey. So he would take the train every day into New York, back and forth.
Yeah.
And then back to Ottawa, back to Jersey, back to Ottawa for the third time. And then eventually that was the end of that job, and
Yeah.
he moved on to other things.
So you start snowboarding in Ottawa.
Yeah. I mean, I tried some snurfers and stuff, I think, when I was a little kid in Jersey.
Cool.
But, coming from a Quebec family, we started skiing as soon as we could walk.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember learning how to ski or learning how to surf, like being at the beach and stuff. And then skateboarding, when we moved to Ottawa, friends had skateboards. I was like, oh, these are super fun. It's kind of like surfing. And then as soon as I saw a legit snowboard on the hill from my skateboard buddies, I was like, that's it.
Do you remember what one it
really
was?
It was a Burton.
Yeah.
The red and black back hill, I believe.
Sick.
I think from it was in 87.
Damn.
86.
So you're one of these guys, we were talking about it outside, that you've ridden every era of halfpipe and competed in most. You've competed in all, because it basically
from a hand dug to a 22-footer.
It's unbelievable. It's actually crazy, right?
Yeah, the first one was a shop called Boardwalk in Ottawa. There's like 2 snowboard shops, and I think they were the cooler of the 2, but they were farther from me, so I could never actually get to their shop. But they made a hand dug halfpipe on the side of the Ottawa River, and I lied about my age to get in. I was 12. They were like 13 to 16. I was like,
you took the bus there by yourself.
Yeah, my parents had no idea I was going there.
Unbelievable. What a time, right? Like I've got 2 kids. They're both over 12. When they were 12, if they would have gone, a town
across
over,
provincial limits.
Yeah. Like to go be in a contest. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't think they had any idea what I was doing that day in particular.
I love the game time decision though. You look and you're like, okay, there's no 12 and under category. Starts at 13.
Yeah,
I'm 13.
The people, I don't remember meeting anybody else like close to my age other than JCJ Anderson and his brother.
Oh wow.
Which has been pretty cool to be able to like kind of keep in touch with JCJ, obviously through all these years
from all that time ago.
Yeah, from being 12 years old at this random like hand dug halfpipe. But I remember like it's like Sims sponsored riders and no idea who the hell these guys were at all whatsoever, because I was a little kid. But I was just like, whoa, everyone's boosting, and it was just a crazy.
Was it the first time you'd ever ridden a halfpipe?
Yeah.
And you're in a contest?
One day. First and only day that year. The next year they had the same contest. Second and only day that year. Maybe the second year my parents took me to like a contest at Mount St. Bruno for like Quebec provincials or something, and I blew out of my bindings, and there's like the old Kemper like the fluorescent green ones, and they had a ski buckle.
Yep.
At the time, there's no ratchets back then, so if you landed flat, and my feet were tiny and in Sorels, the whole 9 yards, the buckle would just slide out of the teeth and just pop right open, and your feet just suddenly.
Thus the need for leashes. There was a reason that we needed leashes, and it's because those they weren't even called Fast-Tex buckles. I forget what they were called. We called them ski boot buckles.
Yeah, and you would just blow out of it, and you're suddenly like halfway down this halfpipe run. My foot's.
They would also just pop open
totally
too,
open,
right? Like so, the clasp would stay in.
Yeah,
but the part that tightened it
the cam would open as well, so
loose.
You'd suddenly be loose, and then that thing would open, your foot would pop out. Mid contest run, you're like, oh, I was doing pretty good, and then now I'm not.
You'd reach down to grab your board, flap your buckle open, you couldn't land. No control. The things were insane. And then even if they worked perfectly, you still had to duct tape your boots together, or the high back would be broken, so then you'd it was insane.
Cutting straps off and riveting things on, and
totally.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing. And remember putting your binding bolts like through the base of your board. Because
I never did that one.
Oh, because you'd be using
you would just keep going. Yeah.
And you just all of a sudden there'd be
a dimple.
A dimple. Sometimes you go all the way through. I've definitely gone all the way through. If you're trying to use like a drill bit, like an old, they didn't even have cordless drills.
A little too much, and
wires. Oops, I just drilled right through the board. Oh, well.
Then the half pipes, when I was out east, there's no half pipes. I was out in the eastern townships. There's I don't really remember snowboard parks or anything. So I was at Mount Orford and Jay Peak primarily.
Is
So
Jay Peak in
around.
New York?
Vermont.
Vermont.
It's right just across the border.
Yeah.
In northern Vermont. So and they
It's
used to
pretty
take,
legit too, right?
Oh, it's
like,
awesome.
It's big.
Like 30 feet of snow a year.
Yeah.
Some of my best POW days I've ever had were from there. Like
Wow.
14 feet in a week where you're just like
Wow.
overhead POW turns, just nonstop craziness in the mountains, like pretty good size, like 650 vertical meters or something. They got a tram.
Wow.
They had open like woods skiing policy really early on. So a lot of hills, especially out east, where you had to stay on the trail.
Okay.
You couldn't go in the woods.
You're not allowed.
No.
Yeah.
Like at Mount Orford, the ski patrol at that time would chase me everywhere because I was just always in the woods. Little kid on a snowboard, and they could never really catch me because I would just like a phantom just disappear into the woods and go through all these tight little sections where their 210 skis couldn't
of course
get anywhere.
Yeah.
So they're like, and I'd be like, yep, and just vanish kind of thing. But then when we would go to Jay, they had a essentially open door policy that as long as you didn't go into or out of a closed ski run,
right,
you can ski a ride anywhere on the mountain.
Amazing.
So all the forest was fair game. There's a road that goes around the whole entire mountain that you can drop down to.
Sick.
And shred. And so you do laps with my brothers and stuff where
would you have a pass there? Like your parents would get you a pass, or was it just...
Orford had a pass. Jay, I don't remember having a pass because we went like not enough times out of the year kind of thing. But that was like the other spot that we would be able to get to.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Now one of my brothers has a house right at the bottom of Jay, and my parents live still not too far away on the Canadian side of the border.
Yeah.
So we're still in that area, but it's such a good place to go shred. And
that's rad.
If I'm home in the wintertime, it's like high on the list to go. One of the last times I got to go for a really good day, we finished a contest in Quebec and had a few days that I said, hey, I'm going to go down to the townships and hang out at my parents' place, and hopefully, like, fingers crossed, it's going to snow. It snowed like 5 feet or something.
Oh man.
And at that time I knew that the people like in marketing and whatnot at Jay, and I was like, hey, I'm going to come over with my brother and come shred. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And so I convinced my brother to skip work.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just skip work. Just call in sick, whatever. Like, they're never going to find out, right? Well, it turns out a year later, the Jay guys had put an article in the magazine with me talking about how I was there with like on this 5 foot day. Like, it's just it was like the day of the year kind of thing. And my brother had called in sick to work.
You even put it in the article.
Yeah. They put it in because we were like chit-chatting or whatever.
Love it.
And I guess my brother's boss shows up at work one day with like the Jay Peak magazine.
Busted.
He's like, so Claude, about that calling in sick thing.
That's pretty rad.
He's like, oh, it's my brother's fault. He's out here.
He's the one who made me do it.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. Where does your brother work?
He's in Montreal. Yeah.
So is he an engineer like you? Is your whole family a bunch of smarty pants?
No. My brother's a trader, so he works like the European desk for a stock trading company, essentially.
So statistics and stuff too, numbers and...
Yeah, a little bit. Like, he's like, people are calling him, be like, trade this, trade that, whatever. And he does all the behind the scenes work to make it happen.
Cool.
And then other brother's a CAT scan technician at Massachusetts General.
Oh, sick. So both sides of the border.
Yeah. My middle brother and myself are both born in the States.
Yeah.
So we're the two French Canadian Americans in the family. Everyone else is French Canadian. You
have no accent. When did you start coming out west?
I came out west university school trip with a buddy. Yeah. And he wanted to go to Lake Louise, and I'd never been out west. Never really traveled that much when I was little.
And what level of snowboarding are you at this point?
I started when I was 12.
Yeah.
I was maybe 18.
Yeah, so 6 years deep.
Yeah, maybe 18. I mean, for the time, I thought I was snowboarding a lot. It was like 30, 40 days a year. You know, Christmas break, every single day. March break, every single day.
Right.
There was no, like, I'm taking a day off. It was every single day. I was convincing somebody to take me to the hill. If pickup was at 3:30, I was showing up at 4 at the bottom of the hill, much to the chagrin of all my family members, but thank you so much for that.
I had to go back and thank my dad. We drove all the way from Sudbury to Mattawa.
You know, in the townships, they would drop me off and go home. In Ottawa, when we were there prior, they would, if my homework was done, they would drive me across to Camp Fortune, drop me off at night, and then just come pick me up at 9 p.m. kind of thing. Like, they would just be like, have fun, see you later. Sometimes my older brothers would come. Other times it would just be me. Or they'd leave me on the weekend and just go from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Who's riding Camp Fortune at this time? Are there any other...
There's like
up-and-comers?
6 or 7 of us.
Yeah.
And
none of them are...
I don't know, to be honest. I only rode there for 2 years when I was like 12 and 13.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the townships.
Yeah.
And then kind of rode around Orford, and that was kind of my home spot. And there was only a handful of us then, again, because this is 1990.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's very early.
So you knew everybody. And if you're at, you know, some people really wanted to go do like flat ground butter tricks and stuff. And I was kind of more keen on like going fast and trying to hit jumps. So sometimes we'd ride together, and other times I'd just be riding solo, and everyone was kind of doing their own thing, but you jump on a chair and be like, how's it going? Like,
totally.
What'd you learn? And like, snowboarding was changing so fast and rapidly at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just constantly trying to get to the hill.
It's such an addicting time in snowboarding because the new gear, if you've somehow got a line on next year's product, it was something
heads and tails.
Yeah, it was something really revolutionary every year, like every single year. Cheers.
Flojoy.
Love
California water and Squamish.
Yeah, I'm talking with
that's
Chris.
Pretty good, Chris. It's pretty good.
It's really good water.
Almost as good as Squamish water.
Well, we're talking about finding a domestic water source for Flojoy Canada, because shipping California water
shipping it up, yeah, totally.
across the border is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, Squamish is another, you know, place on the short list for getting water from.
Yeah.
Canucks, like, just show up with one of those big cisterns, turn on my hose.
Where's Canuck? Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's such a fun project. I've always, not always, the last few years I've talked about doing like just a can project where you open an empty can and then just fill it with tap water. To show like seriously, we're buying water. Why? We get it for free. We live in a place that's got the best quality water, drinking water, and we flush our toilets with the best quality drinking water in the world. Like, what the hell are we doing?
It's insane.
Why are we buying Dasani water or whatever? Or the Swiss Alps water?
Yeah, getting water shipped from Europe.
That's crazy.
To Canada.
Why? It just, I mean, because of marketing, I guess. So if I'm going to pay for marketing, I want it to go in the pocket of like Chris Roach, honestly.
To a snowboarder's pocket.
Absolutely. Yeah. To the snowboarder's pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, dude deserves to make some money.
the
indie. Yeah. Style.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. He was California junior champion in late 80s, like 88 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
As a kid.
Yeah,
so he came up as
he was banger.
Yeah, and he came up as a competitive guy.
But I mean, back then, like, that was kind of the way in.
The only way in.
Like, you weren't, this, before Craig said, I'm just going to go free riding.
Right.
And the way in was to do contests. Big picture.
Tom Burt and Jim Zellers were creating this other pathway.
Yeah.
On their own. Maybe from, like, climbing magazines or something, they had, like, that sensibility.
Yeah.
Or they just made it up. But if you weren't, you know, going to Nepal to, you know what I mean? If you weren't doing...
Those guys went on some crazy trips.
The craziest.
Just insane trips back then where you're like, how did you ever convince someone to pay for this?
It's unbelievable.
It's incredible.
It's unbelievable. And they did it themselves.
It's amazing talking to Tom and hearing his stories. And I actually got last year, I don't know Tom very well, but I introduced Xavier, my son, to Tom.
Yeah.
And Xavier's watched like all the standard movies and all the Mac Dogs and everything. And so I was like, X, this is Tom Burt. Like he rides all those crazy Alaska lines that we watch when we're at Grandma and Granddad's. He's like, oh, really? And then he starts like just diving into it with Tom and how to.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Like, how do you shred out of the helicopter? How do you like find the lines? He starts talking splitboarding with him, and I'm just in the side dying, and Tom's looking at me like, is your kid for real? Like, yeah, Tom, he's splitboards. he's for real.
That's so epic.
But yeah, it was so good to hear him like just like back and forth with Tom and like X's big mountain riding versus Tom's big mountain riding.
Incredible. That's nuts. Does X compete? How old is he now?
He is 12.
Yeah. So he's right on that cost.
He's doing the Baker Bank slalom.
Sick.
So he's in on that one.
Like self-coached, or does he have a coach in the whole thing?
He's got mom and dad, and he's got the Whistler Valley Snowboard Club.
Mm-hmm.
So he does a day a week with Rob's gang there at Whistler Valley, and then the rest of the time is with me and mom. And when he was really young, we kind of joked. Kim used to be a snowboard instructor. Yeah. So I was like, cool, you'll teach him how to walk, and then it'll be master class with dad.
Have you taken him out sledding? Does he go?
Oh yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, he's had 2 days already this year.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we had him trandeming the other day, like for his first real time. So he's holding on to his ski strap in the middle, and Tifo and I, Phil Tifo, kind of look down at him, and it's a good size climb. You ready? Just hold on tight. He's like, yeah, punch it.
I love it.
Just like full guinea pig in the middle, and
it's
just
incredible.
Off. But I will say I'm like pretty gun shy with taking him out to a certain extent. Like the avid conditions have to be really good.
Yep.
And snow conditions, I like to be good. Just to make it like a good day, not a complete epic and gnarly weather and flat light and like the last thing I'd ever want to have him do is be in an avalanche. So it's like, it's always very low hazard days where I take him out. But he started splitboarding when he was 7 during COVID.
Jeez. And
he was and even prior to that, I guess he'd gotten curious about all my, like, the transceivers and the probe and the shovel and all this stuff and the split boards. And he's like, what is all this stuff, Dad? So I essentially gave him an AST when he was 7.
That's amazing. And
that year, Whistler, we had a crazy avalanche cycle at Christmas time, and that's when he got curious about it. So it was like 5 years ago, like the Alpine, everything was shut and like everything was sliding. So it was like the best time to showcase avalanche terrain around the hill. And that spring, everything shut down, and he's like, I want to go. I made him a little split board, like set of skis. So I put his snowboard on my back, and then I made these little tiny skis out of an old split board for him so he can tour up. And then we just went up kind of behind the house here, and he was like, oh, okay, I'll go up. Let's just go up to the lookout and see how it is, like just a couple K, check it out. Comes back that night, Dad, I want to go to the hut. Okay, let's go to the hut. He gets up there. Where do you snowboard? It's up there. I want to go snowboard right now. Okay, let's go.
What?
So we walked up and like did a couple runs and then rode all the way out. And then that spring, he ended up doing like adult sized days, like 16 kilometers, like 1,200 meter days. Like, I was like, that was
how old was he?
He was 7.
Come
I was
on.
like, that was a legit day.
Yeah.
And then so every year, that's like one of his favorite things is to go spitboarding with Dad. And so he's just like, when can we go? When can we go? So usually we'd get to start the year on a splitboard mission, just behind the house or something. And then when conditions align during the winter time, I'll take him out. Obviously I made most tiny little splitboard, a little 132 that's crazy light. And and then so he's kind of been working away at it for the last 4 years. And then last spring he finally went into the Alpine with me. It's always been like tree line shredding, like less hazard.
Totally.
Kind of close, because like if he gets hurt, like I'd have to carry him out.
Yeah.
kind of thing, or like you have to call in help or whatever. Like, so my packs, like my guide packs like to the brim of everything that could possibly make my life easier in case he gets hurt. But yeah, finally last spring, I'd been dreaming about it for years, got him up into the Blackcomb backcountry through the glaciers around crevasses, and like showed him like into the spearhead, did a few laps out there, and then he got to ride Husumi Couloir on the way out, and I was a little bit scared. Not so much, his skill set was definitely there, and he could ride that like he rides everything on Whistler Blackcomb.
Totally.
But just being out there, and you get to the top of Husumi, and it's 45 degrees or whatever, and I'm like, you could technically tomahawk right to the bottom of this thing for quite a ways.
Right.
So I was like, just take your first couple turns, kind of mellow something, and feel it out. And obviously I'd picked a good day where the snow was good and whatnot. And he does a couple like short little turns, kind of susses out, and all of a sudden then he's just like flying down this thing, and I'm having a hard time kind of keeping up to him. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's just charging down this thing top to bottom, like GS turns for a little kid.
Yeah.
Like just gone. Little airs in the middle of it. I'm like, okay, cool. My 11-year-old airs in the middle of couloirs, like just cracking ollies just for fun. It was such a perfect day, and he was so stoked to be out there, and it's a joy to be able to share the mountains with him and have him be keen to go and know a little bit of what's going on. And and some days, like one day last year, he was really tired, and I was going to take him out of school to go splitboarding, like the kind of dream scenario. I'm like, today's the day. And he's like, oh, Dad, I don't know if I can do that day that we talked about. And then I sat him down. I was like, hey, you know what? Like, it's okay to say no, because that's actually the biggest part of splitboarding, is to go like, hey, I can't do that. That's beyond me, or I'm not ready for it, or whatever. I was like, I walk 4 or 5 hours sometimes, get to the top of something and go, today's not the day. And I just turn around and go back down my skin track. And so he was kind of in tears that he couldn't get to go splitboarding, but he's like, I can't do it today.
He was tired, or he
was
wasn't up
like,
for it.
Yeah, he's like, I can't do that day. I was like, dude, that's the most important lesson to learn, was to say no, like know your own bounds kind of thing, and not just be like, oh, I want to go, and then bonk when you're 6-7K out there somewhere or something to that effect. So I was actually super stoked that he was just like, after a bit of chatting with him, that he was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not going.
That's rad.
That's not my day.
Advocating for himself.
Yeah. I was like, perfect, dude. Like, that's what I wanted to hear you say when you're like, I'm super tired. Like, you don't just dive into it. You go, you know what? Today's not the day. So I was like, proud dad moment.
Yeah, big time. I mean, you just described about 30 proud dad moments in a row. That's like, the listeners of the show with kids are being, and the guys that are listening with their kids in their car on the way up the mountain going, see, I'm getting you a split board. 16K when he was 7. Come on.
Yeah, I was a lot of snacks.
Yeah.
Ton of snacks.
Yeah.
Non-stop snacks.
Of course.
Bottom snacks, top snacks.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. I think one of the things I'm thinking here is, like, my exposure to you was post-Olympics, out in the backcountry, social media, Justin.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you could almost fly under the radar as like, just like, who was the guy that they did the documentary about? He was not a like an old sponsored rider. He just goes all the time, and the shots are beautiful.
Oh, Joe Lax?
That's it. Joe Lax. To me, you could have fallen in that category, because I'm not, like, I don't know everything about snowboarding, and I really have not followed pro careers or contests, anything like that. So I was like, oh yeah, Justin Lamaru. He's a backcountry guy.
Splitboard
guy. Like a granola eating Squamish Whistler dude. But that's beginning at the end. Like, you've had this
maybe the middle
lucrative career, where you were the competitive guy for years and years, right out of the gate into half-pipe competitions, sponsor guy, engineer at K2, board design guy. Like, your kid's starting at the cherry game, like the best of the best stuff. You're taking him out on a sled.
He's pretty lucky.
To the most amazing spot. He's not in the Ottawa Valley in a hand dug half pipe.
No, he's
in boots that come out of your bindings.
I kind of want to just take him out east to show him.
Right.
Like, we're out east every summer, but in the summertime it's gorgeous and the lakes are warm, and there's there's a ski hill across the way from my parents' place, and you're like, oh, it's this, but in the wintertime when it's minus 30 and it's savage and windy and like
real
Orford's
frostbite.
like
When you talked about frostbite,
a lot of frostbite on my earlobes.
I remember that
faces.
happening under the tip of the nose.
Oh yeah,
the earlobes. Fingers for me, like being out, like just drunk and holding a beer until it's frozen. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Some savagely cold days.
Yeah, eyelids sticking together.
But you're like, I want to go snowboard, and it's icy and whatever.
It's not much of a deterrent, really. The cold isn't the deterrent, because you don't know any different.
Yeah, I didn't think there was any deterrent back then.
No, I didn't have any either. Yeah, if the sun's out, it's minus 40. No one's out there. Let's go into some of the, like, where does the competition spirit come from? Is it just like you said?
I don't know. Maybe younger brother syndrome. Like my brother's is 6 and 8 years older than me.
Yeah,
so
that's a big one.
You're trying to keep up, and they were super good at skiing, and you're just trying to keep up or whatever. Or you're trying to play hockey with your older brother or anything.
Yeah.
And then. Yeah, I guess I did a lot of sports as a kid, and it was just like I loved sports, like almost any sport. Like, let's just go. And
cool.
I'm not fidgety. I'm like, my legs need to constantly move, kind of thing. Like, I cannot sit still. And like especially when I was a kid, I couldn't sit still and just talk to people after lunch at school, for example.
Yeah,
I was the one saying, "Hey, let's go play basketball."
Yeah,
and shoot the shit while we're playing ball or whatever, but I always had to move. And this high school I went to, we had sports, all fall, winter, and spring, and it was 5 days a week with sports, so it was nonstop sports, and the gym was right there, and so you're constantly moving. And I was pretty good at some things, pretty athletic overall, I suppose. Lacrosse would have been my number 2 thing that I was really good at.
Yep.
But once I started snowboarding, I really enjoyed that freedom of just, especially back then, nobody could tell you anything about it.
No
and
coaches.
There's no
expectations.
No, I had one video a year kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I had all the magazines, which I still have at my parents' place.
Oh, no way.
And, I remember flipping through, and like I have some of these images like burned into my head, and the trick tips burned into my head. The sequences of Noah Selaznek, say, showcasing how to do like a fakie to fakie 360, which these days we would call a switch backside 3, and specifically going out to Orford, finding the exact same style of hit to try this thing on, but having never seen it in real life.
Just the pictures
or having,
of it.
4 people around me that snowboarded that are all at varying levels. You're like, how do I put these pictures of this guy doing this thing into my head for me to do it?
Amazing.
Nobody else around telling you, going, oh, hey, your shoulder needs to do this or that or whatever. So it's just really exploring based off these images of, okay, well, these guys can do it. I should be able to do this, I guess. And just learning from that. But it also instilled, between the videos and magazines, it instilled into me, especially back then, pro snowboarders wrote everything.
Yep.
It's, the Bertrand Darnavaux, the Craig Kellys, those guys that could do
racing,
half pipe racing,
moguls,
free riding,
moguls.
Yeah. And, but then the funny thing for from all those things, and having never really gotten to see a pro snowboarder until I moved out to Banff.
Yeah.
And even then, a few years down the road, maybe, was I thought they landed everything. That was like, damn, these guys land everything. They're so good.
Yeah.
And so I put those two things in my head, that I had to ride everything and land everything.
Interesting.
And that's how I had it. That's how I had pro snowboarding pegged in my head.
Yep.
Was you rode everything and you landed everything.
It's amazing.
And you didn't have to be wildly amazing at being a big mountain free rider if you're a freestyler, but you had to be able to ride it and get a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just something, if a photographer rolled up or you're on a team trip or something, and, you know, being a half pipe guy, I was never really into rails, but if we went to a rail, it's like, I could be able to do something on a street rail.
Right.
Or a
That's
handrail
amazing.
or something. So
it's actually amazing.
Just have, you know, the basics unlocked so they would look good in a photo. Not
Sick.
that I'm saying that I was going out and aiming for this stuff, but, you know, I thought that's what pro snowboarders did. They just were,
and you had to make it up. There's nobody telling you.
yeah, there's nobody around.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
like, I don't know. This is just what's being fed to me from movies and magazines, I guess.
It's
Kind
amazing.
of thing. So my snowboarding is kind of centered around that ride everything, do everything kind of ethos of, well, I wanted to learn how to race. So in Alberta, we used to do I guess in Quebec, I'm, you know, Quebec under 13 slalom champ, 1989.
Amazing.
Something to that effect.
It's incredible.
Yeah, feet didn't blow out of the binding in the race.
So your parents
But
supported you and said, okay, there's this contest coming up. We'll take you to it. No problem.
not really.
You took the bus there or something.
No, the one in Quebec, I only did, when I was out east, I did those 2 hand dug half pipe contests.
Yep.
The one in Mount St. Bruno, I forget who took me to, and I convinced my godfather to take me to one at Mount Sauveur, somewhere around Mount Sauveur.
Yeah.
I convinced him to take me up there at some point. So I literally did 4 contests between the ages of 12 and 18. Like
That's it.
I had very little
Yeah.
exposure to any snowboarding outside of these 4 or 5 people at Orford that rode.
And you knew you loved it. Like it was an obsession.
Yeah, I was
like
just
you were
like, I
as
just want
often
to
as you
snowboard
could.
and get better at this. And then eyes really got opened when I moved out to Banff and met everybody there.
The first guy you meet just by happenstance happens to be a
Jonathan Moore.
incredible, like, holy shit.
One of the best free riders to ever grace this planet.
Ever. Yeah, I was talking with Devin Walsh this week about Matt Demansky and Jonathan and Treetop Films because they just...
The one we watched last weekend.
It was unbelievable. So, yeah, Bluebird puts on this, like, you know, this year's films played first, and the, like, title film was Clear Cuts. What was it, First Degree Burns? Is it the first one?
No, it's Clear Cut.
Clear Cut,
Yeah,
right.
then it was
Treetop Films, right.
Second Degree Burns. No, Third Degree Burns was the third one.
Yeah.
Second Wind. Yes.
Second Wind.
Clear Cut, Second Wind,
yeah.
Third Degree Burns.
And Brad McGregor shows up, which is sick. But so I'm talking. Oh, yeah. And Brad McGregor says, like, you know, we had this fear bond. I miss it. Like, because he's now doing movies like Deadpool and stuff like that. And obviously they don't have a fear bond on there because they're not doing gnarly, insane stuff.
Yeah.
And when Devin heard the word fear bond, he goes, "Oh my God, that's exactly like
what occurs."
Well, so Jonathan's got to be, I think I know this, 16 or something when you meet him.
Yeah,
like,
he was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And I was there with a school buddy, and he was a skier and took off, wanted to go take a mogul class. I was
That's
like,
amazing.
okay, whatever. And I just jumped on the chair with Jonathan and started chatting with him. And my buddy had said, you know, that the summit platter at Lake Louise is not the place to go. And the first thing Jonathan tells me, he's like, we're going up there. I was like, okay, cool. And then John goes and backside threes off the chunky cornice. And I was like, I've found my people.
That's amazing.
And then he introduced me to Greg Todds and Sandy McDonald and that whole entire Alberta crew. And he had me staying at his house that first year or
Wow.
the first like summer that I was there, essentially. So thank you to the Moore family.
That's amazing.
And then the next winter I skipped my like a school work term from the University of Waterloo, moved into Banff, and just rode every single day.
Do you think there would have been a difference in your style, or what do you think the difference would have been had you gone from Ontario to Whistler without going to the Rocky Mountains first?
I don't know, to be honest. Like I think I'll say Greg Todds and Scott Newsom were kind of the ringleaders. I mean, obviously Al Clark as well, but GT and Newsom were, Newsom was, and Taylor were crazy. They were jumping off some huge stuff.
Massive.
If no one's ever watched the Mountain Man and Mountain Jim, the RPG
Search
movies,
for Mountain Jim.
there's some wild stuff happening in those old movies.
Yeah.
They're online now, I think. Lawrence put them online a few years ago.
Sweet.
But they were kind of the ringleaders of, hey, we're from Alberta. We're going to have this huge hand-dug half-pipe that GT was building at Lake Louise with a backhoe. And then we're going to ride half-pipe. And when the snow's good, we're going to go free riding and jump huge stuff. And the whole crew of, Jonovan and Hardingham and Pete Navin and Scott Gaffney and myself and Jonas Gwynn and quite a few of us, but that was like our whole thing was trying to follow GT and Newsom and be like, okay, well, we're riding halfpipe today. We're riding park. We're going free riding. We're hiking out of bounds and we're going to ride lines. And it was kind of just whatever was good, we were going to go ride. And it for me, it built off what I saw as a little kid, pro snowboarders, like, oh, they could ride everything.
Yeah.
But in Lake Louise, it really was like all the kids in Banff we were really keen on doing GS races or border cross and then riding half pipe the next day and just snowboarding. Like we weren't pegging ourselves as like, I'm this.
Right.
Even at the time you could see that, Jonovan was a little bit better at free riding than all of us. Gaffney was a little bit better at like racing border cross. Hardingham was just a little bit crazier than the rest of us, kind of thing. My thing might have been like half pipe at the time, but we're all like had a little bit of a zone that we were a little bit better, but we all wanted to keep up with our buddies and the other things that we were doing. And to a certain extent, we might have had a chip on our shoulders against the Whistler crew.
Sure, of course.
But we didn't really come out to Whistler, so it might have just been something we made up.
I think it's just like any rivalry, right? Toronto versus Vancouver, whatever.
Yeah, we had no idea.
Do the thing, and you go, oh, Whistler, those guys.
Yeah, so I spent 5 or 6 years in Banff and Calgary, like living in Banff in the winter times and sometimes Calgary in the summer. My brother lived there.
Did you train at COP and stuff like that as well?
Mostly Norquay. Like Norquay had the half pipe. Lake Louise had one for a few times.
Remember when there were half pipes everywhere?
I know, it was amazing.
It was the best era of snowboarding.
Whistler put in that 12-foot pipe a couple years ago. Everybody was there.
Best.
Everybody.
Michael Chuck came back.
I know.
It was insane.
Sick.
Yeah.
It was like the best sessions of the year. It was in a little 12-foot half pipe, which is kind of scary, but
somebody's got to bring it back. Someone's got to bring back like a 12-foot half pipe series. I really think Powder Resort should do it. Like they have all those Woodward things. Just build a 12. The bonus of the 12-foot half pipe is that regular people can actually have a lot of fun in there too. And you could have like a killer contest with all eras of pro snowboarders. Yeah. It would be so sick.
Just having transition features to be something different, I find, as opposed to just the standard jump, rail.
Yep.
Kind of thing. It doesn't even have to be a big half pipe. Like just 3 hits would be super rad.
It's perfect.
Like on the way to a park
for fun.
Because the Lake Louise Park it used to be right underneath the Summit Platter, if you know Lake Louise.
I don't, but
so
I'll nod my head like
there was there's the half pipe right there. GT was kind of in charge of the park, and then Marty Gotry was in the Cat, who became famous for essentially building the park here in Whistler for a long time.
Yeah.
But the half pipe was right underneath the Summit Platter. So you'd get there, the half pipe was the first thing you had to ride. And then it was into this like crazy snake run of a park through the trees.
Oh, wow.
That GT had kind of fashioned like hips and like triangular tabletop. So if you wanted to go bigger, you'd go farther right. And there's literally trees like in the tables and like right next to it. And like these misty gaps where you're like, Greg, why did you build a 5-foot tabletop right there? He's like, oh no, that's not the tabletop. The mountain's not going to let me build a gap. So there's that takeoff and the landing's way over there with like a little booter in front of it sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's really cool actually. So it was this kind of this really cool snake run like vibe in there. Like Mikey Renz was riding with us all the time when he was 10.
I love it.
His mom would just drop us off, like drop Mikey off with the boys. Like, have fun, guys. Take care of Mikey. Don't kill him. But this park was just lent yourself to like riding halfpipe, riding park, and then you'd ride out to go back to the chair. So then you'd go free riding kind of on the way down to the chair. And that was kind of the lap. And it sort of
sounds like a power lap.
Helped build our whole entire thing. And if you went at the time, like West Bowl, something down, then you had to ride Star Wars back, which was like a crazy snake run traverse border cross thing through the woods that you were like always racing and always on your buddy's tail, like go faster and like kind of thing. So you look back at it and you're going, wow, it kind of lends that, like Gaffney got really good at border cross and Jonathan got really good at free riding, and because we had all these things that were right there, and it let everyone do it, and we had the crew to be able to do all these things with.
Yeah, that's a legendary crew, dude. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah, so it was fortunate for me highly fortunate to run into Jonathan on that fateful day and then be able to go there and ride with all these people and still be friends with them. God, 30 years later. So
the first Olympics comes up pretty quickly after you've headed out there, right? Like, 'cause you get out there 92, 93,
it would have been 95, 96. I think.
Yeah, so 2 years
96.
later, you're in the Olympics. So,
well, I wasn't quite that good yet.
you didn't
I tried
the 98. No, you went to 2006 and 2010, right?
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, because
so I tried for
Al and
4.5 Olympics.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's insane.
I mean, I could have potentially tried to finish that off to the 5th one, but so I tried out for 98.
Yeah.
And
who got to go that year from Canada? I don't even know what era of.
Brett Carpentier, Derek Height.
Yep. Okay.
Trevor.
Andrew. Yeah.
And
there's somebody yelling at the thing. It's me. It's
totally.
Me.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. It's a long time ago. I remember Brett's runs.
Yeah.
He went like back 9, front 9 or something, like first 2 hits in the pipe.
In 98. Yeah. So he would have won.
Brett Carpentier was like, in my eyes, one of the he was the most underrated halfpipe rider to ever exist. Like, he was so technically advanced, and while he did have quite a good career, he was just he was on another level at that time, and all the time where I was like, oh my God, Brett, like how are you doing this?
That's nuts.
But yeah, I got the try out for that one, and let's say I got 10th or something.
Yeah.
It took the top 4 to go, but they had like kind of what the US does, like a Grand Prix sort of thing. They had 3 or 4 contests, and whoever wiggled their way through got into those top 4 spots.
Yep.
And then in 2002, you kind of had to go do like all the World Cups, and whoever got the top 4 spots went.
Yeah.
And I think I was the 5th or 6th guy.
Yeah, you were close.
But the whole year leading up to it, my ankle was screwed up, and I was basically living on Advil trying to snowboard. So I was kind of like, I was never 100% there to do it.
Right.
I was like, okay, one more. Let's try it.
2002. It's
Salt Lake.
That's the Salt Lake one where the Americans sweep.
Yeah, where they sweep everything.
And it's a big deal.
Michael Chuck was doing like, he started unveiling the double Michael Chuck.
That was
down
that
there,
era.
And everybody was like,
losing it.
What just happened?
Those were so huge compared to just everything. Remember how insane they were.
So you know the Patterson's photo of like Michael Chuck doing the double backy 180 at West Beach?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the next guy to drop in.
You followed that?
Yeah, I had to follow that. Thanks, Mike. I'm like,
were the judges even looking at you? Like,
I don't think so.
People are just.
But
lost
having
their
been in
minds.
Alberta, like Mike was an Alberta guy as well, but
Yes.
he's Calgary, and so he
was in
rode
a
with them a
different crew,
decent
right.
amount, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
he wasn't in Banff. He was mostly at COP, but he would show up and just explode out of things and like just eat it and get back up and do it again. And we're like, how is this guy alive?
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
understand. But we obviously all knew that something was going to happen with Mike. Like he had crazy style at the start, but then that kind of worked itself out. But he kept that explosiveness and the ability to just spin and flip. Like Michael Chuck's a backflipper, and he's unbelievably good at backflips in every variation kind of thing.
Right.
And yeah, it wasn't a surprise to see Mike just like, oh, I'm going to go 2.
When did
and
double
chuck these.
When did double corks win the Olympics?
2010.
It wasn't until 2010.
Yeah. Double corks have a very interesting history.
And he was doing them
So Mike was doing
2000 or something.
Yeah, I think that West Beach was 99
It
or
might have been
2000,
99,
somewhere
yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
That he went double backy and then kind of like 180 reverted out.
Yeah.
So I was the next, like I'm watching Mike do this. I'm like, cool. Anybody else want to go now? Like the hell do I do about this? Like,
you weren't the guy that did the same tricks you didn't like come up with a contest run and do
I
it
never
all
had
the
a
time.
contest run.
So you're watching this and you're like, I don't know, what am I going to start with?
I had nothing. I'm not gonna lie. I watched that. I was like, nobody has nothing. Nobody has anything against that. Like,
Right.
It's like, what the hell just happened?
Did he win with that? He did, right? He won with
I
that.
don't even know.
Maybe he didn't.
It doesn't even
'Cause it was
matter.
a little bit
We're still
sketchy
talking
online.
about it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. and it
25 years later.
Yeah.
He won.
He won. He won. Yeah, because that was like the Ingmar air. At
Yeah,
the
like
thing.
maybe Mike didn't land
was
it
the shot of
clean,
the
so
year.
the judges were like, "Oh, he dragged a hand, and
Who
that cost
knows?
him." But you're sitting there watching that, and you're going, "What do I do? Do I just sit down and watch him do that again?
Right.
I didn't know what to do."
He's 10 years ahead of progression, and the progression
In a 12-foot pipe.
quickly. Yeah,
It was.
Yeah,
He went. It was
Yeah.
mind blowing.
yeah. It was
Um,
mind blowing.
But yeah, and then he kind of worked those out even better for the 2002 Olympics.
Yeah,
And I heard he was just crushing, but then couldn't land his runs, unfortunately.
it happens.
And on the double cork history, there's 2 other guys doing doubles, Espen Arvidsson and Kim Christensen.
Jeez, I don't even
so,
know either of those names.
2
It's
Norwegian
insane.
guys.
Huh.
They were doing, so frontside double cork originally in the half pipe is called a Viking flip
Oh wow,
because they were
Sick.
the 2 guys to do it.
sick.
And Espen actually broke both of his ankles doing one right before the 2002 Olympics.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, he was an amazing half pipe rider. And from what I was told, he did one, landed on the deck, both ankles,
Decked it, broke his ankles.
career done
Oh man.
kind of thing. Fast forward a few years, 2005, nobody's doing doubles anymore, especially after Espen's accident. 2005 at the World Championships in Whistler, Kim drops a frontside double in his run. Like on his last run, I'm like, what Kim, where the hell did that just come from? Like, it's been a couple of years since you did one. Like, I even heard of somebody doing one of those. That was kind of the first frontside one that I saw live. I knew Kim and Espen had been doing them.
Yeah.
And saw like a video, but I saw Kim do one, and I was like, holy crap, he just kind of landed on his butt and slid out. And then there's a gap of 5 years there where basically nobody really did one. Sean had a private pipe in 2008, I think.
Yeah, that
to learn
infamous private pipe.
The one in Colorado.
Yeah. Well, did he do it with a bag on top?
He had a big giant foam pit.
Foam pit. Yeah, they brought. Yeah.
Yeah, so he learned it like in
fucking
April
real.
or whatever, but in his pipe, nobody really knew about it.
Right.
That summer, Ken had a airbag at Camp of Champs with a quarter pipe on either side and a jump in the middle. As soon as I saw that thing, I was like, oh, the game's going to change. And I posted up at that airbag every single day. Thank you, Ken, so much. Every single day I was at that airbag with a camera trying double corks.
Wow.
Like because the guys had done them on jumps. I was like, this is the next thing. I knew Kim had done one and like I watched him do it. I was like, this thing's possible. We just have to we got to figure out how to do this. So I was trying like backside, frontside, cab, switch backside. Like I landed on my head on a switch backside one from like 15 feet out onto this airbag. And I would have, had it not been an airbag, like I would have been dead.
Yeah.
Like I just remember coming down like, oh boy, like I might still be screwed. And just was like, okay, that's enough for today.
Switch
after that
backside.
one, and that was into an airbag.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then and Scotty Lago kind of had like a weird sort of dippy double cork sort of thing, but not quite that way. And then at the US Open in 2009, I did some in my runs, attempted some in my runs. Sean wasn't riding, and he was going to do one, but he had hurt himself, so he couldn't ride. And then the old Canadian guy drops one in a run, and they're like, everyone's like, what the hell? What was this? Sean's looking at me at the bottom like, where the hell did you learn that? I was like, I don't know. Thanks, Ken. And then it was kind of game on, and like I didn't have a coach at that event, so I actually asked the US coach, Bud Keane, who's now the Canadian coach, to film me so that I could have the footage. But then that also meant he had the footage. Needless to say, Scotty Lago, Louis Vito, and all the other boys learned it 3 weeks later at a training camp in the States. Kind of thing. But the door gets kicked, the doors like kind of cracked open to certain things in snowboarding, like JP doing his like cab double off a jump.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah.
Like it so opens the door
before. Of
people being like, oh, we can do that?
Yeah.
That looked dope. Right? Because, we always had like straight backflips and double backflips. Like those are ski tricks.
Totally.
So corked was the thing snowboarders do. And then when you go double cork, you're like the first time you see that, you're just blown away going,
it's wild.
Insane.
It's wild.
And so that those moments of like the door cracks open and it gives somebody an idea, and then other people like push in a little bit more, and then the floodgate opens and everyone, it's like you have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The competitors do it.
Yeah. And within a year, double corks were like mandatory.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like you had to do it.
If you're gonna make the contest, if you're gonna make the finals, you had to have at least one double cork.
Like you wanted to be on a podium in 2010, you had to land a double cork.
Yeah. Did Sean do 2?
He did 3.
Oh my God. He was just
Sean was
animal.
Like 2006, he was definitely above us.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
2010, he was making us look foolish. I'm not going to lie. I think everyone will agree on this. We were all looking foolish. He was, especially like at the Olympics, our first training session, the bottom of the pipe was all super soft and it's kind of wonky, and everybody seemed to be having a hard time on it. Sometimes you'd kind of click into your line, it would work. Other times you just get bucked in the flats. I don't know how he was doing it. Sean was just riding it like it was perfectly groomed. He was the only person not having any sort of issue with it.
No issue.
And just dropping like front double, cab double, and then his McTwist double 12 kind of thing. And we're like, okay, cool.
He's unbeatable.
Yeah, we were like, okay, so even if he falls, he could beat us.
That's insane.
And everybody had stuff in their back pocket, and they're like, okay, well maybe I can drop this or whatever. Like,
if he falls twice, then I nail my run.
Yeah, like at that point in time, he was unbelievable.
The first Olympic format really screwed people over, right? Like it was like if you fell, you were.
Oh, in 98?
In 98.
I think they might have had combined runs.
Or yeah.
Maybe, but that 98,
like
they
that.
Definitely had, you had to do like 3 straight airs and 3 spins. Like everything was separate, and there's a straight air judge, and it was
that's so
kind
weird.
of redundant back then.
Yeah.
And then 2002 is kind of similar. 2006, everything started
format.
shifting. Yeah. By 2010, I think everybody was kind of overall impression, and we'd finally sort of came to a conclusion of like, hey, like this should be a technical sport, not giving points for like a straight air.
Right.
Unless you do a 25-foot out straight air.
To fakie like a Danny Davis.
Yeah, like if you do a 6 straight air, then like that's also technical. But just having like you have to do 3 straight airs is
just doesn't make
like
any
do
sense.
One, make it look cool, and then start dropping tricks.
It's rad that the format changes over time. I always found the rigidity of the competitions, it felt like, look, we have this other stuff going on that's so creative and so, unpinned to this weird fist thing. Like, I still had that feeling from the Terrier years of these
totally.
guys fucking suck.
Totally.
Not you guys, the competitors,
but the organization.
The organization, you'd hear.
There's definitely a time I would 100% agree.
Yeah, it just seemed like, but then the lure of winning Olympic gold.
It's what won out in the end. Like Terrier made his decisions to not go, and we obviously all respect that, and I still think he's the greatest of all time. Like,
Me too.
It had nothing to do with anything, but that was his personal decision, and like, I suppose on a financial standpoint, he didn't need it.
I don't know if that's true.
No, but in 98,
I think the hardest thing for people to wrap their head around a 1998 boycott by Terrier is he's Norwegian. That means his dad's Norwegian.
Yeah.
And he had to tell his dad
it would have been
that
really hard.
I'm not going to go win the Olympics.
But my point's more let's say I won, having never been with huge contracts in snowboarding. Mm-hmm. If I won the Olympics, that would be game changing.
Yes.
In terms of a financial stability.
Okay.
Whereas Terrier had.
He was world champ already.
He had huge contracts.
He didn't need Oakley and Burton.
He was in an opportunity to boycott the Olympics.
Yep.
A lot of us weren't.
Right.
And that at the end of the day is, you get to a point where you say, I want to go to the Olympics and I want to have a chance at doing this. So you're going to play that game to do it. Yeah. And I did both ISF events and FIS events, and I was totally anti-FIS, and I didn't think the events were any good compared to the other ones at the start. But at the same time, I was going, well, I want to crack at the Olympics.
Of course.
I grew up watching this stuff. I was never good at any sort of normal Olympic sport, where I was, maybe kind of good, but not. I never saw myself going to the Olympics for track and field, say.
Sure.
Or high jump or anything as any other sport.
Yeah.
But in snowboarding, I got a chance to do this. So
you're hanging with the guys that are doing doubles.
I need to try and
trick. Yeah, that's
do this, not like turn my back on it, sort of thing. So eventually, I think a lot of the competitors just had to. We're all in a similar mindset of I want to do this. So you kind of just had to flow that way, and
Terrier kind of got,
which is a bit unfortunate.
Terrier kind of got all the credit for the boycott, but there were a lot of other people that boycotted it too. There's probably a lot of other people.
I mean, he was the most famous person,
and now it's actually just kind of become. It feels like he was like the only guy who boycotted.
Well, I mean, he was the only guy who boycotted that could have won.
Maybe no, because who
else
won?
Boycotted?
I'm just saying, look who won.
Well, Daniel Frank should have won. Sorry, Gian, but
but
that's how judging goes.
That's how judging goes. So probably there's probably someone out there listening to the show, boycotted the thing, doesn't ever say it, could have won, could have beat Jean. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't have to beat.
The way the results worked out, with. 98, I think Todd fell, so that took out one of the main guys.
The guy who's going to win.
Brett Carpentier fell on a crazy run.
Yep.
Trevor may have landed, or bobbled or something. It's it's a long time ago, but
yeah,
just the way Gian played to the judges' scorecard.
Yep.
Kind of thing, and got it somehow. In my opinion, those first and second should have been reversed way back then, but whatever. It's
judging, it's opinions. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Totally.
Right? So, but he won, and,
but
it changed his life, which is sick.
Oh, totally.
Right? That's great.
But, thankfully over the years, the judging formats have changed, and
it grew up.
Grew up and, recognized the technicality that exists in our sport, and that it is unbelievably hard. Like what the guys are doing right now in slopestyle and halfpipe is insane.
Yeah.
Like the guys that just dropped like triple 16s, grabbed, looks good, and just puts it down like you did a straight air.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, wow, this my head's kind of wired for thinking of those things, and I have a hard time envisioning it in my head of what these guys are capable of doing even. And I've spent my whole life imagining these things in my head. I'm going, okay, from here you're going to look again, and then you got to pull your head that way to pull it around on the end, and they just done, landed. Mind blowing. Yeah,
we talked about last week's guest, Peter Line, and you've mentioned in this episode that
legend,
the double backflip thing, right? Like that straight thing. I don't know if Peter's the first one to put it off access. I think there's an Ali Goulet claim in there.
There could be an Ali Goulet claim.
And there's a friend.
A couple Colorado claims. Maybe we should get Chad Otterstrom on the phone.
I think Chad gives it to somebody's buddy. I forget who it is. But
Chad would know for sure.
He definitely knows. He definitely knows. But that off access thing and taking it to that double off access and triple off access, and like you're saying, also a redirect now where you're throwing your head and now you're flipping a different way. Like, thank God that those guys put that in there.
Yeah, I think Peter gets it because he had the standard and MacDar parts that had it, and he had the bigger video, and that's anytime somebody comes up with a new trick, there's probably somebody else that had been working on it at the same time.
Of course.
And it's just whoever makes it visible to more people.
Who films it, right?
That like gets the credit more than anything else.
Totally. Like the hatchet line on KT22 had been done a bunch of times, but the way that Hatchet wrote it, the way that it was shot and filmed
it, and
he laced it, it's now the Hatchet line.
Yeah.
And he didn't call it himself and said...
Exactly.
And Peter's the same. Peter's not like, I invented this. Although he will say he invented, other versions of it, right? Like he
backside rodeo.
He thought them up in his head. He's
totally.
like, frontside rodeo. What would that look like backside? But then people worked on it at the same time,
Yeah, like, and all these tricks are, they're built off of somebody else's influence somewhere, and you're watching something else and you're going, can I do that? Maybe what happens if I do this? And something sparks in your head, and then you're just freaking out about it nonstop, thinking about it, going, maybe I can, from here, does that work? And you just become obsessed with this thing, and you have no idea that if it could happen because somebody hasn't done it. There's no video necessarily for Peter to watch somebody do a backside rodeo. He just gets it in his head and goes, maybe I can.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then at some point he goes, okay, I've seen it in my head a million times. I just got to try it and see what happens, sort of thing. And then you get it and you go, whoa, that was crazy. Now what?
It's amazing that
can I spin more out of this?
It happens with the style. Like, so you look at like the double huck, the Mike double chuck.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly a double cork. In fact, it's nothing like a double cork, but it is.
That one at West Beach was a straight up double backflip.
Yeah.
To 180.
To 180.
But it
he
opened.
Could have brought it. Because that one's front side, isn't it?
He goes.
His are always backside.
He went alley-oop.
Alley-oop. It's alley-oop. That's
so when
right.
we were young in Alberta,
it's alley-oop.
Mike was kind of the guy to beat because he would like backflip off that wall, backflip off this wall, alley-oop, backside 9. Like just he would wind up with his giant chest and just chuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one he did at West Beach was alley-oop.
That's
like
right.
Off his toes into it.
Off the toes, but still flipping.
Yeah, still flipping like
same way.
Yeah, his way was always he's goofy as well.
Yep.
Kind of that way. Sort of backflip, backside rodeo sort
it's
of.
Unbelievable.
Direction was his like really strong point sort of thing.
It's fascinating to hear you because these things and you were there. Like for me, I've
analyzed a lot of snowboarding.
I still remember watching That's It, That's All and being like, okay, it's a beautiful film, But that Travis guy's a real hucker. He's just hucking, and then he gets lucky on his landings. Is what I honestly thought that for like a year, and then it was like, wait, no, this guy's
he does it all the
calculating
time.
this stuff. This is insane. He knew he was going to come around, because it seems when you first see it that the person is just completely out of control.
Oh, I think a lot of those first times you try it, you're just, okay, let's see what happens. And you just toss yourself as hard as you can. And you hope that you get a quick glimpse of something somewhere in there. I mean, if you watch, I was showing X a video of somebody doing a double or a triple or something with a POV on, because you see the world go around and come around and every time. But when you go to do them, that world going around on you seems so fast, and so much faster than what you see in the POV, even though that's running at normal speed. In your brain, because you haven't done it and you're not used to it.
Right.
And you get a glimpse as the world goes around, and you go, oh, I think I'm at the right spot. I should open up and then try and put this down.
Oh, wow.
Sort of thing. So, for like someone like Mark to do a triple cork, it's totally in his head that he was able to toss that at whatever, he was like 15 when he chucked a triple, and 16, I don't know.
Yeah, he was young.
McMo was pretty young when he did it, but he was, the first one, I'm sure he just chucked and was like, what happens if I just hold on and do that thing I saw in my head and go around one more time?
Well, there's this whole other part of it. Like, it starts with airbags, but then there's trampoline stuff, and there's foam pits, and there's all sorts of other things that you can
the
do
airbag
before.
Really opened up.
So do you think that he would have tried that into an airbag like 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 times before?
I don't know if the triple corky had an airbag.
That's unbelievable.
I'm not 100% sure.
That'd be so psycho to learn on snow.
It'd be something to ask Mark.
Yeah.
If he had,
yeah.
If he just straight dropped.
Yeah, I'm curious about it. It just seems
Should
insane.
we hit pause and send him a text? But the airbag really opened up a lot of what's going on now, and do
you know the story
jumps
behind
to
it?
airbags.
Do you know those guys? Like Marc-Andre Tart was...
Yeah, Marc-Andre lives down at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, so he had a claim
the bag
to
jump guys were in Europe.
Yeah.
That had I think the bag jump guys originally made the first one. They took a stunt bag and just put it behind a jump.
Sure.
But then Marc-Andre was, I think, working with those guys, and then there's another guy here in Canada that made one with kind of a landing to it, but then I think it was really sketchy, like getting off of the thing, because the landing went like onto the snow, so you'd land and ride down an airbag. Slowly. And then like pretty fast.
Okay.
And then off the airbag onto the snow. So if you weren't quite straight, you would hook an edge.
Oh shit!
Pretty easily, because you could land 90, slide super fast, and come off the top of the airbag into snow.
So dangerous.
But then eventually, like everything else, this one idea burns off the other one and progresses, and now the airbags the whole landing's built into a catcher's mitt at the bottom.
Right. And
you have spine airbags for half pipe riders to land on somewhat of a tranny, on like a 45 degree into another catcher's mitt, so you're not going flying off this bag. And the ability to have these tools like really opens up the whole thing, because now like half pipe camps have the pipes cut out and there's an airbag at the bottom.
Of course.
The big air guys are hitting dry slope into airbags all summer long. X and Kim just went to see the one in Jindabyne in Australia just yesterday, and they're these training tools are opening up so much that I used to call them the giggle bag, because you would just as long as you keep your arms and legs inside the moving vehicle, when you hit it, you were fine. But nuts. If you tried to put your arm out or your leg out in a weird way into an airbag, you could still get broke off pretty hard.
I
have a friend who broke his leg right before 2010, actually, in an airbag.
Really?
Nate Johnstone from Australia. Hit an airbag and landed kind of board 90.
Yeah, so
into the
board
bag
goes,
and his leg just crumpled.
Just pushes
into it.
Yeah.
So there's still some consequence to an airbag, but big picture, if you just can ball up if you're out of control and just take it, you're totally fine. So it just opened up so much of the creativity. It's kind of like having a half pipe or big air jump into POW that just never ends.
Totally.
Where you're like, okay, I saw this thing in my head. Maybe I should try that. Maybe it'll work. And off you go.
Were there angry purists that just were like,
100%.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
We're not doing airbag shit.
Yeah, guys were like, you should just try that on snow.
But you would die.
Some guys did just try it on snow, and there is a certain truth to that that I think is actually super important in snowboarding. That up to, if you're learning flat spins as a little kid, I think it should all be done in snow. You should not be hitting a bag jump and learning how to do a 360.
Right.
There's a million side hits. There's lots of little side parks, all these things because you kind of have to have the confidence in yourself to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go from a 360 to a 540 to a 720.
The basics.
And I'm going to do it. Because even if you hit the airbag, you still don't necessarily have that confidence.
Yeah.
Or to be like, you know what? I'm just going to go do this now.
Right.
I'm going to take the airbag away, put my life on the line, and do this trick. And hopefully it works out. There's still a confidence there that you have to, I think, build up through. And all the basic tricks, I think, are really important to do those things of just
airbag,
just working your way up to it. And once you get to, you can get to a 1080 without having to necessarily hit an airbag. Once you're starting to think, hey, I'm going to go double cork or something that's putting your head in real danger of landing on your head, then you start going, okay, well, an airbag's a really good idea. And for the high-end athlete, the airbag's mandatory.
Right, because you're at that level and you're training at that level. Right.
You're not just dropping a 2160 or whatever and quad corking your way. I'm just going to try this. And hopefully the air awareness has to be there, and we have to try and do it somewhat safely.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Did you ever get pulled into coaching? Like, did you coach for a year or 2 or 5?
No, I coached just in the summertime up on the glacier for Glacier Snowboard Camp.
Right.
And they shut down, and I think at that point I was over at Camp of Champs just riding kind of thing. And obviously you're helping kids when you're there because Ken's being gracious and letting you come ride every day because he's like, well, you guys are, you need somewhere to ride, so come ride and come hang out at camp. And
he's so sweet.
And it was amazing to have those opportunities. So when you're in there and kids are, see a kid do something that's not correct or something, you watch them a few times, you're like, hey, dude, come here, like, try this. Okay. And we've always
great
to be
that.
Able to share that knowledge with people and through freestyle riding or guiding or whatever, and helping people to do it. But I never went the full, like, hey, I'm going to coach route.
Yeah. National team or whatever.
No, it didn't interest me as much. Like I actually do like coaching. I don't like the lifestyle of coaching.
Right. Sure.
And there might be a little too much coaching in snowboarding.
I'm not exposed to it.
There's kids that are with coaches nonstop all the time.
Yep.
Which is good and bad, but I think sometimes kids should just ride with their friends and their family or whatever and just go shredding and
just saw the new Shredbots movie with
have their friends tell them stuff and okay, cool. I'm going to figure it out or whatever. Right. Kind of thing. Cause there's a lot of coaches that jump in, a kid does something wrong and a coach jumps in right away and goes, this is what you did wrong. And when I coached in the summertime, kids would come up and go, what did I do wrong? My first question was, what did you do wrong? They're like, well, you're the coach. I'm like, no, you're your own coach.
Yeah.
What did you do wrong? Like, you think about it and then come see me, sort of thing. And letting them try it a few times before jumping in and saying, okay, this is your issue that you're having. Let's try and fix that, sort of thing. But I always wanted kids to have a think about it, because the coach isn't always going to be there. There's not always a video there.
Also, if you're getting close, then you're doing most things right.
Yeah,
you're pretty close. You want to do more right, not less wrong.
Yeah, and a lot of the like breakthrough moments you have in snowboarding just occur randomly.
Yeah.
You cannot plan them of today I'm going to learn this.
Right.
There's probably half my tricks I didn't think I was going to learn on that particular given day, but the way the day went, you went, oh, hey, maybe I can try this.
Sick.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And you went, oh God, I just learned that. I didn't think I would learn that.
That's so dope.
But it just happened.
Yeah, I guess I've had in my own life like days where you're just on fire. So you try something you haven't tried, you land it and you go, shit, I'm going to try something else today. Like I'm feeling very confident. My boots are tied properly or something. I don't even know what it is. There's just some wonderful like magic happening today.
Yeah, it could happen in music and art and cooking, almost anything. You don't plan these spark moments.
Mm-hmm.
It just lots of little things build up and then all of a sudden it just bunk.
Yeah.
Or other times you just run into a wall for weeks on end and you're like, this is never going to happen.
Yeah, that's been happening.
And then when
it
least expects, it's just dunk. Oh, it's there. Cool.
Yeah, every once in a while in the last 10 years, as my skills, which were never very good, drop away and I lose more and more things, like losing grabs, for crying out loud. Like I'm do a whole year without grabbing my board. What the hell? But every once in a while, I'll get this reminder that, hey, most of this is mental and most of this is like, you know, I'm riding in fear and I want to just ride in joy. And when you ride in joy, you hit the jump a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm not going to hold back. I'm just going to try the spin. Okay. Oh my God, I landed it. Great. I should be moving in that direction, not the other one where I keep shredding away little bits of my confidence.
I keep looking at Todd Richards because he keeps ripping and he's 50
crushing
5 whatever the hell he is. But I keep reminding myself as I get older, like, hey, you know the cheat codes to do these things. You just have to pick up the joystick and hit XOX, whatever it is, and make this thing happen.
Right.
But if you shy away from it, it's just not going to happen. So I'm like, just go and do a frontside 5 or whatever it is, because I don't get that many park days anymore. Because if it's sunny, there's a good chance I'm out splitboarding or working, like guiding or whatever. Yeah. And doing other things. And then when it's cloudy or not so good, then that might be the day I'm in the park and you're like, well, it's cloudy and it's not that good. I don't really want to ride jumps today.
Right.
But when that opportunity comes up, I'm still in the, I'm not doing 1080s or anything anymore, obviously, but I'm still in a mindset of like, hey, I want to try something to like scare myself a little bit and remind myself that I can do these things. Yeah. Or learn something new or whatever, or, and I need to stay ahead of X to make sure that I get a couple more years of being ahead of them, but racing, you might be pretty close pretty soon.
It's unreal, hey? It's unreal watching kids progress.
Yeah, I've got
no fear.
I've got a personal goal that I've always had. Like even before I had a kid, I was like, it'd be cool to do a 720 with your kid.
Yeah.
Like that's like,
that would be dope.
If X can do a 720 and I can do a 720
at the same time, overlapping.
Like, doesn't even matter which jump necessarily. Just like he's kind of good at freestyle. He's not a prodigy at freestyle snowboarding necessarily, right, but he's got some tricks and he's learning. And I'm like, he's 12, whatever. I just started snowboarding at his age, and he's already way better than I ever was.
Ripping, yeah.
So I'm like, whatever. But my dad goal for him is like, if he can do a 720, I win. If I could do a 720 at the same time, I hit the jackpot.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
So I'm just trying to keep my skills going enough to hopefully make that little dad dream happen. And then after that, I can be like, here, you take the Lamaru freestyle torch and do whatever you want with it. Like I won.
That's rad. That's so rad. Yeah. So you're holding on to the 7, hoping.
And I mean, like, jumping's so much fun.
Jumping's the best.
It's such a rad feeling when you you're feeling it and you like the jump and
It's unreal.
you can fly through the air. It's unlike any other sport, big picture, at least for me, where I could fly on a snowboard, especially when I was really flying on a snowboard.
Yeah.
It's like biking, you jump 5 feet and you think you're going to die, whatever. But then on a snowboard, you can drop in and hit an 80-foot jump, 90-foot jump, and just fly do all these things. And then if you screw it up, at least it gotten to the point where you could wiggle your way out of it and be fine.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And it was like jumping, so much fun to be able to do that and just have that freedom in the air and break the bonds of gravity for a second.
Yeah. It's absolutely the best. Yeah.
And go travel these crazy distances over, like the old super parks that snowboarder used to run with the 100-foot gaps and this stuff where, everyone's racing into it going, I really hope I make this. And then you pull it out at the last second because your buddy's inched. You saw him get a couple inches faster than you on the in run. I'm not clear. No, he barely made it the last time. I'm dead. But just to hit these massive, but actually, I think Peter was talking about in his podcast of hitting these crazy features that only get built every now and then. Like it's not normal everyday snowboarding.
Right.
To hit a huge hip or a huge quarter pipe or a huge jump. And it's such a special thing to be able to do those things and fly. Yeah. And just be like, wow, I am up here.
In his podcast, he said, some of the things I was doing in the early 90s, mid 90s in my Mac Dog parts didn't really hold up. And so then, and I just agreed with him. I'm like, yeah, right. And then I went back and watched,
his
and
parts
I'm like,
were mind-blowing.
Are you joking, dude? That shit is still 100% current right now. Like if someone did that right now, it would be, some of that stuff would still be clip of the year. Like your shit is, he was so good. And he is still so good. He had
so much stuff that was, no one was doing it.
Uniquely
so he was
Peter.
He was opening that door and creating that space of these tricks of, over time the style gets better or whatever, but it's the ability to be that creative and with so many tricks and such a, like he was super good in quarter pipes and half pipes and jumps like everywhere.
And just little things that he adds in, right? Like the nose slap on the way down. Yeah. I
know exactly what hit you're talking about.
Well, he talked about it and reminded me. And then when I looked at it, I was like, and then he's like, I already knew how to do that wall ride thing because that nose slap is like the last,
the last little catch
that you needed to do. And I'm like, holy shit, Peter Line just broke down freestyle snowboarding at such a granular level. So I got to ride with him at Baker, and I'm watching him hit the side hits everywhere. And it's Peter riding side hits. You know what I mean? Like there's no change in the fun that he's having. It's just that he's got the skills to take it to insanely huge stuff.
Yeah.
And still stay calm and have that style. It's nuts. It's nuts to see.
Oh, Peter influenced everybody.
Yeah, of course.
I'm actually a little shy to be on your podcast. I'm not going to lie. Cause you had Jamie, Peter, Jeff Fulton, then me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like on the low rung
here. Oh, whatever, dude. No way.
I was a little shy on that one. I was like, didn't he have Jamie, Peter, and Jeff? It's like, okay.
PJ2 from Sweden.
Oh yeah.
Which he's just a legend of all legends. You're a legend, brother.
Thank you.
No, it's sick to hear your story too, because you're such a big part of what happened in Canada, right? Like Greg Todd's, just the name Greg Todd's and how important he was to the world of snowboarding. But to hear a little bit behind the creativity that he was fostering.
When he showed up with a no board at Super Park at Lake Louise in the slush.
Right.
with his rubber pad with a garbage can handle on it and a rope.
Yeah.
I looked at him and went, Greg, what the hell are you doing? I was really perplexed. I'm like, why would you take off? You know, a crazy thing about Greg that people don't know, he invented the toe ramp in a binding.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Not officially, but he made the toe ramp. He stacked up a huge stack of foam under his toe on his bindings, duct taped down. I went, Greg, what's up with your bindings? It's like forward lean, but for your toes.
Right.
So he had cranked forward lean and a cranked.
Right.
So his ankle was just wedged right into his binding.
Yeah.
But the toe ramp was probably about that high.
Oh, geez.
So I knew he was always into something.
He's
but
an innovator,
the Snowboard
for sure.
Was, you know, he's riding around the slush. He could barely control it.
Yep.
And I kind of, Greg, you kind of look foolish right now.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Well, I just want to try it in the slush because in the powder it's super fun.
Yeah.
And I went, well, how so? Like, we can't jump, we can't go super fast. He went, yeah, but Justin, every time I go snowboarding, for me to have a really good time, I have to almost kill myself. I have to be that close to the edge. And if you look back at GT's stuff, like, he was jumping big stuff. He was straight lining huge mountains, like going so fast, doing so much stuff. And he said, you know, I jump on a snowboard and it kind of learning how to snowboard all over again. And all the little things, you know, are super fun again.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's ironic that he died on a snowboard. 20 years coming up in January. Shout out to all the Trout Lake boys and everybody who knew Greg.
Yeah.
And his family and his son and everybody. But he's like still missed by everybody, I think.
Huge.
But it's like the ability to see that his snowboarding was, he couldn't do that every day. And that's, you know, something that stuck with me, that you can't be 110 every single day you jump on a snowboard, because you're going to get hurt. You're going to die. You know, you have to pick and choose your days throughout the season of like, today's a day. This is a day where things happen. And then there's other days where you go, you know what? Conditions aren't what they should be. I should step back and just have fun.
I'm not feeling 110 right now.
Yeah, I should just have fun snowboarding.
Yeah.
And not trying to be at like my absolute max all the time, sort of thing. And having a snowboard and a pow surfer with you in the backcountry is a great way to just be like, hey, you know what? We can just go surf pow laps down there. Dave B and I did it the other day. We had a bit of a day. We were having fun just shredding around and found a little mellow run. It was in the shade. The light was kind of crap by that point. Said, let's just bang a couple pow surf laps and have fun and like giggle and laugh at ourselves while we fall our way down the mountain. And it's great because the little 5-foot drops and the little 10-foot pillow stacks
it's unreal.
Suddenly a thing. Yeah.
Like,
and
what
all
they're
the
doing
boards,
now is insane.
we had, and we can't forget Vole in this conversation either, and the whole Aesthetiker crew and in Austria and whatnot.
Yep.
One of the years for Snowboard Canada, I think we had Jeremy came up with a bunch of his boards. Rob Stevens
was at that, right?
Rob Stevens came out from Banff with a bunch of Osmos.
Yeah.
We had no boards, Sharks, the POW surfers, the Asmo. We basically had everything possible that you could ride with no bindings on. And we just party lapped for days. Yeah. With like Sansalone and Patterson and Jeremy, Rob, and we just lapped and
it sounded like it was incredible.
We were just changing boards and trading boards and here, try this one, here, try that one, try this thing. Oh, this thing's way different. Like, and it was so much fun to just be able to experiment with these alternative craft of silliness, really, at the end of the day, compared to snowboarding and the things you can do on a snowboard.
Yeah, less serious for sure.
Yeah, totally. And it was just like, this is great because we don't care that we're face planting and augering right.
One of the greatest shapers of all time, JG, has his own company, JG Shred Eye, and it's based, from my understanding, on the fact that he's got a yard that he can
he's in Stowe and he's got some snow in the backyard,
he could just rip it, and he's cutting trails in the summer, you know, and it's
amazing because is just having fun in the snow, which is
Yeah.
what we're doing snowboarding.
Yeah.
But if you've got a little hill in your backyard and you can jump on a pow surfer when there's pow and wiggle around and get stoked, or on the side of a highway or whatever.
Did you see the Wickland stuff? Do people know about the Wickland stuff yet? Has that been put out there? In the 30s, maybe even the 20s, 30s, I think it was, there was a family that basically had pow surfers.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And they dragged a stick.
Oh,
behind.
yes, I've seen this.
You've seen that stuff? Yeah. Maybe I'm mixing it up with the stick.
No, those are the turkey people.
Yeah, it's the turkey people with the sticks.
Like the staves this is, with the sticks.
These are people that patented it in the U.S.
Now that you're saying it,
yeah. And so Sherman Poppins' patent has to reference their patent.
Yeah.
And Trent Bush is the one who broke the story. It's a real deal, dude. Like there's an archives, and he has a lot of their stuff.
And it's again that thing of people, different parts of wherever, just doing their own thing in their own backyard, closet, space and time.
They got good at it, man. They got good at it in these like
other
little
people
boots.
doing it over here.
Yeah.
And no idea of the cross pollination or anything.
Yeah.
And then you look back at it and go, oh, those guys are doing that. Doing that and whatnot. And like we were talking about it with snowboard shapes earlier.
Yeah.
That things that I would think are kind of crazy or
right,
a little bit wild for what's going on. You look back at some of the old boards and go, oh, there's that one. That's actually remarkably similar. I'm not that crazy, actually.
There's a Heavy Tools, not the trick bone, forget what it's called, but it has mustache camber. It's from the 80s.
Do you remember Inca Snowboards?
I remember the name.
Triple camber
at
a trade show in the early 2000s,
right,
or something. We all laughed like we were dying, killing ourselves,
right,
going, what is going on with this thing? And then now we're at triple camber.
Yep.
It's just with a little bit of rocker or whatever in it. But it's kind of interesting in snowboarding in a way that you have to be different, but not too different.
Yeah. That's
it's just
true.
ever so slightly different to be of interest.
If you're too
different or too far ahead or whatever, everyone just goes, you're crazy. And they don't give you the time of day. But if you're just that kind of fringe different, then you're super cool. But if you're far ahead, eventually the people will catch up to it, and then all of a sudden all of that's cool.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, it happened to Dimitri, I think. Right?
Oh, 100%.
For Winterstick, it's like when you go back and look at the stuff that he did, it's insane. It's insane. The style he had, like the things he was doing. He was full on snowboarding in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And I mean, we talk about double corks and like JP doing the first like cab double.
Yep.
First guy to do a backside double, Al Traves. This guy rode for Hobie Snowboards.
Hobie.
That had two edges on both sides.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Crazy snowboards. But this guy Al was really good at spinning backside, and he came to a Vans Triple Crown Big Air or something. He goes, hey guys, I can do this thing that I call the McScario.
No way.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Straight jump,
cork. Double backside. Like
McScario.
9 or 10. He called it a McScario. We all thought he was going to die.
Oh my God.
Because he just goes off this thing, launches himself into a Misty, and just keeps going.
And goes a second
and just kind of goes a second time.
That's how early is that?
Oh my gosh. Years before JP.
Oh, damn.
It's honestly, only the people that kind of knew Al knew that it happened.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people knew Al, but at that time, maybe late 90s.
Sure.
Early 2000s, like in the Vans Triple Crown, like heyday of the Vans Triple Crown kind of thing.
That's even 96, 97, 98. Yeah.
And obviously Peter is leading the way with all the corks and everything. Like it's, but Al he just spun really good backside and could chuck himself.
That's
and he
amazing.
Just chucked himself one time so hard that he went around again.
That's awesome.
And he did it off a straight jump, like off a big air jump. Whoa. Did we just see? Is he alive down there?
So the okay, so you were on battalion for both Olympics, you said.
Yeah.
And so that's like the only thing I know about battalion is it's like the Moro spoon nose Was that on every board?
Yeah,
for Battalion?
so their boards were.
I don't know what it's called, but they have a
the triple base.
Triple base, right?
So from foot to foot,
yeah,
it was a flat snowboard.
Normal. Yeah,
and then from your foot out to the nose was basically divided into 3 parts.
Yeah,
and so the 2 sides were canted up at like 2 degrees, kind of thing, and then the middle part went just normal camber all the way through. So if you were, I should probably ride one. I haven't ridden one in ages, just for shits and giggles. See what the difference is like going. Yeah. Now that I've ridden a multitude of different snowboards in my life.
Designed a bunch too, right?
Yeah, but I mean, when you're competing, you're very stuck on. This is the board that I ride.
You set it
do
up
the same
exactly
thing.
the same. Every
my
time.
stance never changes. It's
right.
I've had the same stance for 20 years.
What's your stance?
Does not change. 15 -9, 23 3/8.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
The snowboards are all set up around my stance.
Yeah.
There's no changing.
Yeah.
But you know that you get stuck in this board. Like, this is the board that works. Battalion came around. They had a board that was the same specs as what I was riding, and I was kind of curious about this triple base thing. But they still had camber. A lot of boards at that time were kind of going early rockers, and they're kind of getting like out of hand rocker.
Sure.
But the way the board kind of rolls on edge, it's pretty smooth edge to edge because it kind of has a bit of rock to it. But for me in pipe, it actually allowed me to run my edges crazy sharp.
Nice.
Because the angle would kind of base bevel it a little bit and not make it feel crazy sharp, but let me have a really sharp edge kind of running.
Sick.
So it totally worked. Like, I was fine with it. It was never a sketchy bit in my life. Probably saved me quite a few times on huge jumps to not hook. But now, after we've gone the full rocker and everything, I find that the early rise, you have camber with a little bit of early rise. It kind of does the same thing, because when you land a big jump, if you have a fully rockered board right to the end of your effective edge, you land, if you're a little bit off, the tips, nose and tail of your board want to hook.
Yeah.
Because you're not controlling those, like the camber's pressing them into the snow.
Totally.
And that's what made rocker super easy to ride.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in the snow. It was just your feet kind of there. But having camber with that little bit of early rise, to me, just takes the edge off those kind of tricky landings, because now the contact points are closer to your feet, and it gives you a bit more control on.
You push through it a little bit more.
Yeah, being able to push through it as opposed to having the nose and tail hook and just.
Yeah, if you're riding, people would aggressively detune their boards.
Yeah, exactly.
To have that same
feel.
feel.
At the time, the battalions for me were helping in that situation. They just kind of.
That's rad.
Give you that split second to straighten yourself out and
I don't know where they came from. Who was Battalion?
Originally, I think it was a Norwegian guy who did it.
Yeah.
And now it's Dennis and Danny Dusseldorf, and I think they might be part of Nidecker. I think you're right. They might be somehow associated with the Nidecker crew.
Yeah.
Because I think they're on the board at Nidecker now. And Lobster just got pulled in, and Lobster is an offshoot from Battalion at some point.
Yeah.
So they might be associated with them.
I'm pretty sure that they are. Yeah. In that.
But I think it was just like a Norwegian inventor dude who originally started it, and then Dennis and Danny kind of grew it and did the marketing and the art and the crazy art that they had, and the crazy ideas on the art and everything, and grew it into what it is, which is super cool to watch people be able to like take their thing for years and run with it.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's one of those things like the mustache camber or even the early banana boards or the wavy side cut, the magnet traction thing. It's like a bit quirky at first, but then when you ride it, you're like, oh, there's some advantages to this.
Yeah,
you know?
there's always an advantage and a disadvantage to most things, and you kind of got to pick which thing you.
And sometimes it surprises
want the
you.
Advantage for.
You ride a magnet traction on like corrugated pipe, and it just hooks you, and you're fucked.
The worst is on like styrofoam snow. where you kind of have a bit of a crust on the top.
Yeah.
The edges kind of hook one after the other as they're going through the crust, and it doesn't give you that clean sort of line through it. But then on ice, it grips really well.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Kind of, there's give and take to a lot of things of what you want to have on a snowboard.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I'm back at pretty much classic camber boards, but not because I'm a snooty, no mustache guy. I just like a brand new board. Honestly, the number one thing for me is a fresh board out of the plastic. Edges are super sharp. You can knife rail the thing. It's poppy. It's fresh. There's no big shark fin on the bottom from hitting a rock.
So what's really interesting? You know how we think snowboards die, like the flex dies?
Yeah.
When I was at K2, because I've broken a lot of snowboards through my life. Yeah. And I've had a lot of snowboards go down to this thing's done. Like in my head, I had X amount of days on this board, and I could feel the difference between a new board and an old board of just the flex to it. And actually, really quick before we leave the battalion subject, they were great because they made me they were customizing some boards for me at the very end, which was amazing. So to get like the model that I liked with the new Enviro graphics and whatever, and some extra pop in them, which is super key. So thanks, boys.
I love that.
So the flex, I went into K2. So I worked there for a season and a half or whatever as the engineer. And I was certain that old boards die. The flex dies. They're totally different. It's done.
Roasted.
They have a machine that measures how much force it takes to flex a board an inch, and every single board's measured, every single model is measured.
I love this.
They're very standardized.
Yep.
So you could send out a board that you measured and then bring it back 2 months later and measure the exact same board the exact same way.
Yep.
And get the exact same number, but you're going, the board is dead.
It's nuts.
But the actual resistance to the board is still there. But what I think actually happens is the wood fibers, the cellulose in the fiber kind of breaks down and just loses some of the rebound.
That rebound pop.
To come back from
life.
We were talking about Paul Schmidt earlier from the skateboard, and he was saying the same thing actually about skateboards, that he thinks the wood fiber, like the cellulose cells in the fiber, break down a little bit, and the skateboard becomes kind of softer.
That makes sense.
Sort of thing. But in snowboards, we have fiberglass and resin, which is such an incredible, insanely durable product that it doesn't really break down.
Yeah.
But just some of the wood fibers break down a bit, and we notice that lack of rebound, snap.
The feel is different.
But the force it takes to push into it is the same.
Rob Dow has that machine at Wired.
Oh, yeah.
And we were expecting to see big changes in the numbers.
Yeah.
Because I've got some boards that are like 8 years old.
Yeah.
That I've like railed on a rock that's like, I thought it was completely dead. I'm like, oh, I'm so sad I have to get a new one of these. Well, I didn't get a new one in time for there to be another powder day. It's like a big, like a swallowtail.
Yeah.
And so there's another powder day. And I was just riding it this year going, oh, it just rides like normal? What the hell? And then we tested it on the flex machine. It's still got the exact same flex that it had from years and years ago. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's broken. Like it has like a part of it that's
this thing
broken.
Is done.
It's toast.
So done.
It's roasted. It won't work anymore. And then it just rides normal. I'm like, that's, I guess maybe in powder.
Yeah.
Everything works pretty easily. Yeah, we've seen some Mikey on a toboggan, for crying out loud. Like you can and the pow surfing stuff now.
Yeah.
You don't even need bindings. It's insane. So what's next for you now? It's just you're living vicariously through your kid.
Pretty much.
You're shredding as many days of the year as you can. I've seen your stuff from this year. It's still more of the same. Just like,
I mean, I've been guiding for 10, 12 years now.
So did you do the like
years?
the whole mountain guide program?
Yeah, I'm a ACMG splitboard guide.
Okay.
Didn't do the climbing alpine stuff.
Right.
I figured I'd already gone to school for enough of my life. I wasn't gonna.
Yeah, the engineering thing took what?
4
years?
No,
6?
it took me 5 years and 4 months or something.
Oh wow, dude.
Because I, as I said earlier, I kind of screwed with the program a bit.
Yeah.
To have my winters off to snowboard.
But you graduated.
Yeah, I did eventually graduate. Actually, many years later. Because this was a sticking point with my dad for a very long time. I had a work term in the summertime here in Vancouver.
Yep.
And at the same time, I had an opportunity to try out for the national team.
Oh, sick.
For my very first time.
Yeah.
And I went and asked one of the bosses if I could go try out. And this guy was pretty hardcore engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, you're an engineer. You do the other things in your life. And I didn't subscribe to that kind of thing because I have a lot of interests in my life that I really like to chase down. And I kind of took that as like, well, no, I can do both. I will do both. And so over the course of a week or whatever, I talked with the guy who hired me, and he basically said, this is a summer job. This is a co-op term, and you have this opportunity to try out for the national team. That's pretty unique, right? And he actually kind of backed me on it. He was trying to keep me at the job while giving me this like 4 days off or whatever to try out for the team. Eventually, it never worked out. So I was like, you know what? I got to go try out for the team. So I quit the job, which cost me a work term at school to graduate.
Yep.
And then eventually I finished all my classes. I got another work term, and I accepted one job, then took another job like the next day. I didn't really think anything of repercussions wise. I was just, I'd rather make leaf springs because they're really close for semi trucks because it's really similar to a snowboard versus making a pipe or whatever it was, right? And it's a day. Like, this is real life. I was out of school. I'd never thought about the school rules and stuff. And the school said, well, you can't accept a job and then say no. So your work term doesn't count.
Oh my God.
So then I fought it for quite a while. And they said, no, it doesn't count. And in the end I went, well, if this work term doesn't count, snowboarding starts in 3 weeks. I'm going to quit this job and go snowboarding. And so now I'm going to piss off 2 of the employers that come to the school. I didn't want to, but I just wanted to graduate. And they said, no, it doesn't count. And I said, all right, well, as soon as the snow hits the ground, like I'm trying to go to the Olympics. That's more important to me right now. So I had one work term that was actually missing for me to officially graduate in 99 or whatever.
Sure.
It took 13 years until I got to K2.
Yeah.
Where I was actually working as the engineer. And I went up to my boss, Doug Sanders, one day and said, Doug, I have a favor to ask. I actually told him the story when he hired me. And I said, I haven't officially graduated yet. And he went, what do you mean? I was like, I need to work for 3 months or 4 months, and then I can officially graduate. He said, well, that seems like a pretty asinine reason to not have graduated. And very slight technicality to the whole thing. I said, I agree, but I haven't officially got the piece of paper. He said, that's fine. So when my 4 months came up, Doug filled out all the paperwork for the school and said, yes, he's our guy. Here you go. This is his last work term. And I did a write-up or project on how to make a snowboard or something to that effect. Was like my work term thing.
Yep.
And then I officially graduated.
That's amazing.
So it took a little while, but technically it took maybe like 16, 17 years. So the school portion took about 5.
Yeah. Sick.
So my dad wasn't very happy with me for a good chunk of time there.
Yeah. A dozen years or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
But when he gave it to him, he was pretty stoked.
Well, he cared that you went to the Olympics though, obviously.
My dad never saw me compete until the first Olympics.
Wow.
He came and saw like a summertime quarterpipe contest in Toronto.
Sure.
But he never saw me ride halfpipe outside of TV or a video. My mom would come here and there.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, they didn't even know what I was doing. I would tell my parents, oh yeah, I got third at this contest this weekend, and then they'd see it in the paper and be, Justin, you got third at a World Cup. Yeah, that's all I do. They're all World Cups. And well, you got to tell us these things. I'm like, they're all World Cups.
That's amazing.
So they were kind of a little bit oblivious to what was going on. But once my dad came to Italy and saw what was going on and that we were at the games, because I don't think he ever really truly believed it until it happened.
I love that so much.
Then from then to 2010, he was gung ho. He was into it.
Yeah,
like he was like, that's something special. That's, you may have pissed me off for a few years there, but he chased it down.
I love it. That's amazing. Yeah, and Tyler, who helped build the 2010 pipe at Cyprus, said that he was just so stoked to watch your runs, like that your runs were
It was incredible
really
to be up there at home and having Tyler and Trennan and the whole entire pipe crew, like Jason Fent, like all these guys, everybody cheering me on, dropping in, and the crowd's at the bottom, and like knowing the starter and it just felt like a normal event. Because I knew everybody there. It's like, this is wild. Like Sandy's starting or whoever, and they're like, Justin, you dropping in switch? And you're like, yeah, dude. And it was so cool to have that atmosphere, and the atmosphere in Vancouver, the atmosphere at that event. Like it was such a mind-blowing couple weeks. It was phenomenal. Yeah.
I remember it. I remember living here and not thinking much of the Olympics, but then when the festivities started, it was like having the biggest party you've ever been to in your city.
It was sick.
It was just nuts everywhere.
Yeah.
And we watched the halfpipe finals live at DC, at the headquarters in DC.
Sick.
It was really, really
fun.
fun.
Were the only one cheering me on? Go Canada! Oh, dang.
No, it was
one Canadian there.
It was at the DC Canada headquarters in North Van. It was an event, but Murray from the boardroom bought tickets for people to go watch live. Like it was
amazing how many people tuned in and watched that I never thought would watch a halfpipe and would message me and go, dude, that was sick. That was whatever. And congrats and good luck, whatever. It was amazing to have all the support and from people that I never thought cared.
Right.
At all. You're like, those people don't care. And then all of a sudden they're messaging you and you're like, whoa, you do? Really? You watched? Sick. Awesome. Thank you.
It's a whole other level of thing. It's a whole other level of thing.
It's totally different.
Like from World Cup even, like it's just...
Yeah, it's another step up for sure. And and it's things that you don't even think about of like the security that you go through all the time, like to and from the village, the events, all that stuff, to the athletes that you're hanging out with. Like we were hanging out with the hockey team all the time.
Right.
I asked Martin Brodeur who the hell he was.
That's sick.
And the whole entire hockey team's laughing at me. They're like, you don't know who Martin Brodeur is? I'm like, does he have his name on the back of his shirt? Goalie mask on? No.
That's amazing.
I don't know what he looks like, because you're just chatting with the guy and you're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I play hockey. Well, what position you play? Oh, I'm the goalie. I'm like, so you like the starting goalie? You like this bench warming goalie?
That's awesome. It's just amazing. How fun.
Yeah, it was sick.
Did you have a like a low point after? Like, was it hard to top? Was it one of those peak experiences where then you're chasing that for years and years, or
possibly?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like, it's totally the high point. It's the high point of everything, really. Like there's, as far as snowboarding is concerned,
right?
But there's so many high points, and a lot of them have blended together to a certain extent, but there's some things like going on a surf and snowboard trip to Alaska with Andy Finch and
Sick.
Sean Dog and stuff that was out of this world, and the things that we were able to do on that trip were mind-blowing. And there's all these other things that are mind-blowing to me in my world of snowboarding, of being able to design snowboards and become a guide and take people and share the mountains with them and take them into these unbelievable places and push their limits of like, yeah, you can do this, and talking people into these amazing things. But then, yeah, the Olympics are just always that extra step up where you're like, man, I tried out in 92, 2002, went to 2006, wasn't happy with the result. Had a whole bunch of sponsors tell me I was too old in those next years, and all these people being like, oh, you're the old guy, you can't do these things, to getting 7th at 33, and up until recently being the oldest guy in a halfpipe final until Sean did it. Like, again, thanks, Sean, just taking everything. Tiny little things. Takes them all. To being like the legitimately old guy in an event, but still riding well. And, to me, age was never a number. And you look at Todd Richards and all these guys that kept going, and there's like Chad Otterstrom's still ripping, like unbelievably ripping. Yeah. Not just ripping, like he is like legitimately freestyle ripping to this day, still current. Best dude too. Yeah.
Just the nicest dude.
And to a certain extent, to be able to push our age barrier in the sport was super cool. Yeah. But just everything around the Olympics was amazing. And the interactions with all the other athletes, the like ping pong with Sidney Crosby and Shea Weber and Marc-Andre Fleury, and like getting to know these people and hearing like parts of their lives and just the random things that happen inside the village. And it was incredible.
Yeah. Hard to top.
And going to Whistler with my brothers and family and like shredding with nobody there. It's insane. Right in the middle of the games, like, let's go shred Whistler. There's nobody around.
Yeah, it was a pretty great year. Hey, yeah. It was shit in the city, but Whistler had good snow, and there was nobody there riding. Yeah, everything was booked up with tourists watching the games.
Yeah, so I mean, you create a high point in your life, and then I've tried to be pretty even keeled in a lot of things. Yeah. But it was certainly a high point, and you're just looking for different avenues to create things in life. And as I've gotten older, I've realized engineering plays a much larger part of my life than I ever thought when I was young.
Oh, that's right.
I kind of tried to somewhat ignore it, I guess. Sure. But really, I love designing stuff and building stuff, and that gives, like, putting a snowboard under somebody's feet now gives me like just as much joy as learning a trick did. Wow. In the past.
That's super
because
sick.
I know how many smiles that board will create for that person, or how many tricks they might do, or what split board trip they might go on, or what descent they might do, or they might have the time of their life on the thing that I built.
That's epic. Yeah. That's epic. Where do people get Spline?
Pretty much online. SplineSnowboards.com.
It's right from you.
Yeah, it's from me.
You build the boards.
They're built in Squamish.
Right where we were.
Yeah, they're Canadian made.
Yeah, it's amazing.
My hands.
Yeah.
And like I pour love into every board essentially, and it's passion project, whatever, I don't know, business. It started from me after K2. I really got hooked on making snowboards, designing boards, riding boards. I knew what I was doing after doing all their stuff, and just started making my own boards. And then people started going, why is your board way lighter than mine, but still stiff? Like, it's a different shape. It's whatever. Cause I had pretty corporate job before, and you have sales managers and marketing teams and all these steps between you and a snowboard that you want to make or present to the world. And so when you create something that's outside of the box, it doesn't go past those next steps, because they say, well, we need to sell 400 of these, or
to make the minimums make sense, it has to be.
Yeah, from a business standpoint, it makes perfect sense. But I always felt a bit hamstrung as to what I could create while I was there because it had to go to these other people and everyone had to okay it. But with Spline, I was like, the shackles are off. I have a fully functioning shop, CNC. I can do whatever I want. If I want to make one, I just make one. Whatever crosses my mind, I can sit down tonight, design a board, go in the shop tomorrow and make it. And then on Saturday be riding it.
That's nuts.
Kind of thing.
That's so fun.
Which is, to me, like such a, it's a crazy high. It's like currently probably it's such a huge high to be able to create these things, because I'm not an artist in the sake of, we were talking about Jamie Lynn earlier, like Jamie Lynn or Vanessa Stark or Andy Asimoff, whatever. I can't paint and I don't draw very well unless I'm on a computer, in which case I can draw, and in an engineering standpoint, I can draw very well. And that's like, to me, is my art, is like the creating a physical thing, and making it better, and making it better for what I see snowboarding going, or the feeling that I want to chase. So everything in Spline is, every board is like for a certain feeling or a certain day, or just to force you to snowboard differently. Because for years we had, I always go back to surfing, but in snowboarding, let's say I rode a 161 twin tip, pretty stock standard, let's say 8.2 meter side cut. Every single company has one. So that's very similar. And you jump from one to the other, they're all quite similar. Big picture. The little curves and details to a snowboard really impact how, if you like one or the other more than anything. And those are the intangibles, I think, in when you design a snowboard, is that how everything mixes together and presents its final product. But that 8.2 meter 161, very similar. Like you can grab a Solomon, you can grab a Burton, they'll ride really close. Yeah. Big picture. And surfing had the same thing, where you grab a 6'2" shortboard. But surfing also had, you can grab a 5'6" skip, like fish. And all of a sudden you're not on a thruster, you're on a twin fin, and you got to surf like it's the 1970s. Your feet come together, your knees point a little forward, and you're kind of, suddenly your style changes and you're surfing totally differently. And I found snowboarding didn't necessarily have that, because you just were always on that all-round snowboard that just does this kind of thing. So I created boards that make you ride differently and allow me to put a snowboard in a different place in a turn or a trick or whatever, even like a curb, like on the side of a run, like just how you go up and slash it. Right. You put a different board under your feet that has different features to it all, and all of a sudden you can like slash things differently and put the board in different places. And one of my very first boards, my good friend Kyle, who's no longer with us, but he's been riding with me since the Banff days, riding around, and I had this what's now the short potato in our line. It's a 152 completely twin board that's essentially has no side cut. Like it's an egg shape, but there's a little bit of side cut between your feet so that you can survive when you go on a hard pack. Sure. But it's made for POW, and it's completely twin. The nose and tail are narrower than where your feet are. That's wild. Like it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Kind of thing. But he was watching me ride the very first one, and I was just having a blast, like just snowboarding, not even thinking about it. And we get down to the bottom, and Kyle looks at me and goes, "Dude, you're snowboarding completely differently. You're doing stuff I've never seen you do." "Oh, what do you mean? I feel like I'm snowboarding." It's totally different. Like you're putting the board in different places than you've put it before. Wild. Kind of thing. And then I was like, huh. And then I started paying a bit more attention to what was happening on these different boards. And you can snowboard different. So I've wanted to create boards that allow kind of more of a surfboard kind of quiver feel of, hey, it's a groomer day, let's grab this thing. Hey, it's super deep, let's grab that thing. It's super deep, let's grab the other thing, because they're going to be a different feel. So my personal quiver of snowboards goes from a 144 to a 169. That's nuts. And they ride I mean, I will go from a 144 to a 169 one day to the next.
That's amazing.
Just to have a different feel of, the 169 is kind of a rocket. Or even my new Tatsu board is a swallowtail that actually has a longer effective edge than that 169. And the thing just trucks.
Sick.
And so I was guiding with it last spring, just doing monster super G turns. Thank God with clients that were stoked to go super fast, because I was just
cooking. That's awesome.
And so to have this ability to create these different things, and they may not be a board you ride. Some of them are definitely not a board you ride every day.
Right.
But they're a board that you're like, oh, it's the day for that board. And it puts a smile on your face. Being like, I'm going to ride this way. Like, it's just kind of a special occasion board, maybe on some of them anyways. And just different. I just wanted to create different things, different feels, and present a different viewpoint to how to ride a snowboard.
Yeah. The first time I saw one was John Scarth's board. And he's like, oh, it's a 44. He's my size. Like,
yeah, he's 6'4".
He's huge, right?
200 pounds.
And we're tripling up. So it was my first day out with anyone when I had a sled, and we're tripling up, and he's got this little tiny board, and he's struggling with it zero. Like, he is just ripping it. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. It wasn't like the Yes, like 420 that was like really wide or anything. It was ASIM, but it didn't seem like overly lanky edge to edge or anything. I'm like, it's just too small.
So John's on the wet 144.
Yeah, but he was ripping it. I wanted to try that out.
He honestly, the very first time he saw it, wanted to try it. He showed up to pick me up, and I had mine set up because I didn't want him to feel left out, because his wife was already heckling him a little bit, like, that's what you're going to snowboard on tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was on a big, huge Dupraz, like a 165, 170 or something.
One of those big swallowtail ones, or the round tail thing.
Round tail, the big, huge nose, like basically the complete polar opposite of what the what is. So he comes to pick me up, and he has my board set up, and he has the Dupraz in the back of the truck. Just in case. This is a pretty good day on WB. And I look in the back. I'm like, oh yeah, doesn't trust me. Figures. Throw my board in and jump in and go, what's up with the Dupraz? Don was bugging me last night. I don't know what to say. And I just brought it. Okay, fine. Up red chair, whatnot. We barrel down. By the time we got to the kind of the flat pit, we're not even halfway down the first run. He's racing by next to me and goes, can I get one in black? A third of a run was all it took.
That's amazing.
Completely hooked.
Yeah.
Changed. It just went.
I got to try it out. I want to try one out.
It's unbelievable that this thing even works.
Yeah.
I've jumped 40-foot cliffs on it. I guide with it all the time.
Damn.
Big, huge guide pack. I'm 6'2". I'm on a 144. Everybody thinks, what is this thing? It's just like, is it broken? Is it a twig? What's going on? But it really works. And it was, again, one of those things where people are working in things in different areas. Warburton was working on his 420.
Right.
And I'm sure there's other people working on some fat boards.
Yep.
I was working on a fat board at K2 that I was fooling around with, that first short potato. And then when I left, I kept I got to keep some of my prototypes and stuff, because I knew they weren't going anywhere. And then when I eventually acquired my press and was able to make things, the first board I made was a short potato.
Yeah.
It was my short, fat
sick
thing. Cause it's like, well, I got a bunch of 161s. I want something different.
Let's push it.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
And so we were, multiple minds working on similar things over the years. And it's the 144 is kind of the what is really the extreme end of my thought process into the physics on how a snowboard works in powder, and where the surface area, I have a whole series of boards called the fat boards that are all short and wide, and it's full area templates. Just not to, be PC about it. They're all short and fat. And it just, the way I created them, it changed where you put the surface area in terms of where your feet lie on a snowboard. And then it allows you to make a shorter snowboard. And then the shape of all my snowboards have a physical reason as to why they're that shape.
Right.
Like the pintail's there to drop surface area into a turn, and it makes the board sink in through a turn.
Wild.
The wider blunt nose is there to like float more. Likewise with the what, all of those aspects to it, the crooked nose, the offset swallowtail, the ASIM swallowtail, and the swallowtail itself, the cutout is ASIM. Everything is in conjunction with their physics
engineered
how I see powder riding happen on a snowboard, and they're obviously right and left foot forward specific.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
How long you been doing it? Like 5 years?
I get Spline. I started making my own boards 10 years ago.
10.
And then I think officially started Spline 8 years ago.
Nice.
And with K2, I've been making snowboards for 12 years.
Sick.
Designing boards, and I've a couple hundred now at least, because
that's amazing.
I had a bunch at K2 that I got to make, and then I have boards, like I make one-off boards just
all the time
for shits and giggles, and kids boards, and the lineup goes from a 132 to the 169, and there's 30 between split boards and solids. 33 boards, 34 boards for like a little guy working out of an art studio.
Did you go to Shaper Summit? Have you gone to Shaper
I have not.
Summit?
Rob is a great friend.
Yeah.
And he asked me when I was at K2 to go.
Of course.
And to one of the first ones, but I couldn't swing it, whatever. And it's just never really lined up timing wise. Like there was a few years I was in Jackson Hole a week or two before.
No way.
But I had to leave and I couldn't go back, or I'm working or something like that. But it seems like such a great event, and obviously Rob is Rob, and I love him.
I'm sure you'll go sometime, and it'll just
it would be fantastic to go. Rob, I'm putting it out there.
Right on. Congratulations. Cheers, dude.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Cali water.
FNRad shoutouts this week to Justin Lamaru and his whole family. Let's watch for Xavier's pro career. It's probably not that far off at this point. Shoutouts to Tactics in Seattle for hosting the 30th anniversary of Jamie Lynn being on LibTech. What a wonderful event. I got to catch Jamie, Deanie, Thalo, Corey, and a bunch of the FGHC and Old Man Army crew down there, plus Jamie's parents again. So rad. Thanks to Torstein Horgmo and his wife Celia Miller, and Mikey Cicerelli for premiering the Shredbot's Return movie at the Rio Theater here in Vancouver. Check that movie out, it's sick. And thank you Bluebird Coffee in Squamish for a sick movie premiere the week before. Be sure to come back next week for more FNRad snowboarding presented by Flojoy Water and brought to you by FNRad Productions.